Well, hi again, everybody, along with Michael Rachel and John Dodds, who will be with us very shortly. I'm Tom Pippins. We're produced by the magnificent Jason Ruck, and this is the Pip and Dodds Packers podcast featuring Michael Rachel. We're getting set for Packers and Eagles. Remember what happened last year? Philly came to Lambeau, right, Michael? Aaron Rodgers threw for 422 yards, and they lost.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's a little bit of a revenge game, and something it wasn't like Carson Wentz went up and tore the Packers last year either. He only had 160 passing yards, and you would think this week the Eagles would try a similar thing where they try to pound the rock. Obviously, Jordan Howard's no longer there, so this week it'll be with Miles Sanders and Boston Scott. But the game plan won't change much from the Eagles as what they had last year. So it'll be interesting to see how the Packers adjust.
Boy, did the Packers run it last week, right, Michael? 189 yards and beating the Bears, who lost again today, this time to the Lions. 6 straight losses, Jason Ruck pointing out, the first time since about 2002 that they have to fall to 5-7. Unbelievable. But anyway, they rushed for 31 yards last year against the Eagles, and we know this Eagles defense is pretty darn good, coordinated by the former Lions head man, Jim Schwartz.
Eagles defense is really good. We saw them last week in prime time against arguably the best offense in the NFL against the Seattle Seahawks, and they held them to, I believe, 23 points, which you don't see many teams doing. And the Packers have been scoring a bunch, so it'll be interesting to see if they can get the ground game going. Fletcher Cox is going to play for the Eagles, and he's very good on their defensive line. So we'll see if Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams can get it going on the rushing offense and see what Matt LaFleur draws up.
So they signed Tavon Austin. We're getting ready to see his debut, returning punts, and all of a sudden, he's sitting out today. And Tyler Urban is up after being out a few games with a sore ribs. I'm excited to see 32 back, the versatile one.
Very excited to see him back again. Hopefully he's ready to go in the kick returning game, because Tyler Urban would be a big upgrade over Darius Shepard that we've been holding our breath on for the last couple of weeks.
And as we speak, for the first time in forever, the Packers kick off, which I like, Michael, right? They're going to get an opportunity to get that ball coming out of the locker room. We talked a lot, we did in our pregame show with John Dodds, about the struggles of Carson Wentz. Boy, he's been sacked 46 times this year.
46 times, and to put that in relevance for Packers fans, Aaron Rodgers has only been sacked 11 times. So it's hard to even fathom 35 more times Carson Wentz has been sacked than Aaron Rodgers. So you would hope the Packers can get some blitzing going on Carson Wentz in the passing game and make it uncomfortable for him tonight.
A makeshift offensive line. He just isn't himself. 16 interceptions, and he has lost 4 fumbles. So John Dodds is with good spin move. JD was saying the other day, good running back. So the Packers and their less than stellar run defense, will see what happens. JD, good to have you with us, and looking forward to this one. You're somebody wearing the Packers historian cap on this podcast who could talk to us, and maybe we will before this viewing party is over. Chuck Bednarik, Jimmy Taylor, taking us way back, right?
Absolutely. The 1960 championship game between Lombardi's Packers and Norm Van Brocklin. It's been an interesting. Green Bay had a very difficult time for about 3 decades winning in Philadelphia, but they were finally able to do it by the last 10 years.
And the late, great Vince Lombardi saying to his team after that championship game loss, we will never lose a postseason game again. And he was true to his word, wasn't he?
He sure was. But it helps to have 12 Hall of Famers on your team, too. You get the most out of them, but they had a great team.
Yeah. So for the Packers, getting Tyler Urban back is huge, and we see that Zadarius Smith is up. He was questionable, that bothersome ankle injury. Corey Linsley out at least 3 games, maybe until postseason with a sprained MCL. So Elton Jenkins, the versatile one, will take over at center when the red-hot MVP candidate Aaron Rodgers gets the ball. Right now, trying to sneak it, he's got it too. I would think with all the struggles, Michael, that this Eagles team has had, passing that ball, and that's why you want the Packers to go out, grab a lead, force them to go to the air. They're going to try to stay on the ground as much as they can and move that ball along. They know the Packers' Achilles heel on D.
Yeah, nobody's fooling anybody today when it comes to the Eagles while they're on offense. They're going to be running the ball all day long, keep it out of Wentz's hands as much as they can, unless it's that QB sneak because Wentz is such a big quarterback. But as you mentioned earlier, their offensive line is beat up. This is their 11th different offensive line makeup in 12 games, which is not a good sign if you're an Eagles fan. It's tough for Wentz, even though he hasn't been good. That's tough to have 11 different offensive line combinations.
Yeah, he's got Ertz back, the tight end, and that definitely has to help him. I like this kid who just caught that ball. He was pretty good against Seattle. They went to him quite often, 88.
Yeah, Dallas Goedert, they're talking about him being the future of Philadelphia, and there were trade rumors around Zach Ertz this year before he got hurt. So it's interesting to see Philly's direction on this offseason with Ertz and Goddard both being there.
JD, how do you feel about this one? We all felt like Doug Peterson's team would lose. They're 3-7-1, and the Packers would go to 9-3 and win convincingly. Still feeling that way?
I think I had them 29-20. One thing about Philadelphia is they strap it on and they get you. They lead the league, I believe, in forced fumbles. So they hit you. And I remember last year, the first play of the game on Packers on offense, Barnett on their team put a kind of a helmet, led with his helmet into the ear hole of Jamal Williams and knocked him senseless for that game, knocked him out of the game, which was a key blow for the Packers because he figured in on 20% of their running plays. So this is a physical team, but the Packers have to dominate their offensive line.
Yeah, you would hope that would be the case, although we know that the best defensive line on the field will belong to the Eagles. The Packers, 4 turnovers on D, though. They have forced 8 of them, actually, in the last 4 games, incomplete, setting up 4th and 8. Good. So
they got a late flag there, I think.
Uh-oh.
Yep, late flag on
Sullivan?
It might have been Sullivan. There were 2 guys there, so I'm not sure, but it was on Greg Ward on his crossing pattern.
Pack have had some untimely penalties getting off the field. Yeah, I don't think you want this team to start to feel like they can hang around with and they have everything to play for in the NFC least, right? I mean, the Giants are a half game up. They don't have their starting quarterback, and Dallas has a tough game coming up. Washington, another tough game. So they could be right there. There's a lot to play for this team.
Yeah, there is a ton to play for. Washington's got Pittsburgh tomorrow, so that should be a loss for them. So Philadelphia with a win here, come the end of the week, they could be in first place at 4-7-1. So yes, everything to play for and then some.
Good run and another flag.
There might be a hold or a clip downfield on Philadelphia here.
Good call, JD. Sometimes those holes are a little bigger than maybe they ought to be, right?
That's right. Yeah, you can tell Peterson's smart. He's going to try to dink and dunk and hold the ball away from Aaron Rodgers and run as much clock as they can. This is almost a 4-minute drive already. Or actually a little over 3 minutes, I should say.
Fantastic. Let's see if we can get this thing going and get the ball in the hands of Aaron Rodgers. It's the Pip and Dodds Packers podcast with Michael Rachel. We invite your interactive questions for us at pipandodds.com/ask. Man, alive. Good blocking. JD, I would think, and this was talked about in the pregame with head coach Matt LaFleur, they have an offense that's capable of getting to the Super Bowl, but the defense, if they can just play a little bit better, and continue to make key stops on occasion, bend, don't break, get those turnovers, it would help a bunch.
Stop the run and get turnovers. Yeah. That's the whole deal.
Pressure too. Come on now. Ooh.
And that's exactly what you want Wentz doing if you're a Packers fan. You want him scrambling out of the pocket, making questionable decisions late in the play.
Yeah, he's a broken quarterback, and you understand why. I think he feels the shadows. maybe here's the footsteps with this old line that's been beleaguered and isn't very good.
Yeah, on that play right there were 3 guys rushing right away, and he was forced to scramble out to the left.
Yeah.
He had a serious knee injury 2 years ago where he blew 2 ligaments against the Rams going into the end zone, and he's never recovered from that. And the offensive line hasn't helped him.
Ooh, another big hit on him.
Yeah.
And you're right, JD. He was pretty good back then. He was the favorite to be the MVP midway through that season before he went down with the ACL.
Yeah, it's never been the same. But the offensive line just doesn't give him a chance. That's why it's 1, 2, 3 out.
Yep. And last year, if you guys all remember, they didn't really have a wide receiver to play with going the whole regular season. JJ Arcega-Whiteside was their top weapon with Alshon Jeffrey out, and a bunch of their other weapons were out. So that was kind of his excuse last year. But this year they've got more weapons with Alshon back, Jalen Reagor back, Ertz is healthy again, and Goddard. So
how about 10 offensive linemen right up there at the top, and then 19 wide receivers going back to 2019? I mean, he really doesn't have a lot to work with either.
Well, that was a broken play. Their 2 guys in motion ran into each other. So it's going to be a screen pass or misdirection play. There's nobody out there, so he just threw it to the ground.
Ironically, one of the real weapons for the Eagles is a kid who was cut by the Packers. So you hope he doesn't come back in a revenge match and burn him, right? Is it Fulgham?
Fulgham, it shows you that the Packer personnel department is right on. It's just he just didn't get a chance in Green Bay.
Come on now.
that was a nice play there by Wentz.
You bet. Thrown across his body. About the Packer 35.
And we'll see that Zach Ertz adds a lot to that Philadelphia offense that they have not had in a while. So if you've been watching Eagles and you're like, their offense is really bad, Ertz is a massive upgrade for them to have him and Goddard at times. They play them both on the field at times. So that's a big weapon to stop.
Rashawn Gary's really picked his game up in recent weeks and starting to show the potential that had the Pack make him a number 1. He was number 1 or number 2 pick, first or second round?
He was a first-round pick. I think he was 12.
Yeah.
And then Savage was 21.
Right there, hit him.
There we go.
Nicely done. I like Mark.
JD's right. This is a long drive already. We're about to be over the 6-minute mark in the drive.
Time of possession. We've got an outstanding marketing team in Elephant League with Andrew O'Grogan in Paris and Shannon Geringer here in the Milwaukee area. And Shannon texts to say that we're going to have a guest in the second half to visit with, a fellow I had the pleasure of meeting named Matt Francis at Co-Work. He's good people, a big sports fan. We'll have some fun with him. All right, now come on, third down. At least try to hold them to a field goal here. Also brought to you by DJ's Goalpost in Menominee Falls, our good friend Don Matovich. I thought John was leaving for a second to go get a burger and fries over at DJ's, but that'll have to wait for another time.
No, he's just trying to improve my light, just so you could see me more from my good side.
John, you are the light.
Yeah.
The light of the podcast. Our Packers historian, John Dodds. Michael Rachel, Tom Pippins. Hit him right there. No.
That's going to be a pass interference, you'd think.
Let's see. No flag?
Wow.
Very close.
Yeah.
That's why they signed him, because he's
Kirksey.
got decent speed as a free agent.
In that regard, he's an upgrade over Blake Martinez, the tackling machine, huh, John?
I think so. I think that the Giants, for their defense, Martinez fits. So here's a 52-yard field goal.
Yeah, and this would be a big miss because it would flip the field.
Yeah,
Or a big make.
Yeah, nice kick there.
Yeah, very good. Okay.
That drive was 15 plays, 41 yards, 707.
That's what you don't like. That would be a recipe for victory for Doug Peterson's squad. And a little bit of a boost to get out front early.
It was actually a pretty good drive by Wentz, I thought, as well. He seemed controlled for the most part. He had one throw over the middle to double coverage that was questionable, but it got a flag. So it's a better start than I've seen in weeks past for Wentz.
Mm-hmm. A lot of Santa Clauses out there in the TV commercial. While we have that chance here, Elephant League Collective, we talked about the great support we get from our marketing team. They're the best, based in Paris, France, and Milwaukee, Wisconsin. A creative and multi-talented team comprised of web designers, full-stack developers, graphic designers, and content curators. Specialties including website development, SEO, branding, and UX/UI design. Started in San Francisco, the epicenter of the digital and tech world. You could relate to that, right, Michael? Digital.
A little bit, yeah. I'm starting to get better and better with like editing videos, and
we're still in the typewriter age, or at least I am. I don't know. John's gotten pretty slick on his computer, though.
Yeah, I think NASA would have hired me in the early 60s.
Always want to say thank you to the great folks who showed faith in us early. Professional Construction, Inc., Mike and Michelle Grau out in Waukesha. It's a fabulous family business, and they do wonderful work, redesigning anything you might want. You want your kitchen remodeled. They also do commercial endeavors. So, in fact, John and I are going to get to visit with Mike and Michelle here next week, and we're looking forward to that. Great people who make all this possible. Again, your questions, please, at pippindodds.com/ask. Michael, Rachel will fire them out. JD, as always, will spearhead the answers for us. Yeah, this is a series, John, that goes way back, doesn't it, to the 1930s? I think the Pac won the first meeting ever.
Yeah, they did, and but it really got big in the well, actually, Philadelphia won, I think in 47, they won the championship with Steve Van Buren. And then in one of the most dominant quarterback years ever, Norm Van Brocklin in 1960 carried them to the Eastern Division championship. They played championship, and they played the Packers, the Western Division leaders, title holders in the title game at Franklin Field in Philadelphia.
And even you were very young, but you still got the history down. Is that Tyler Irvin?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, making his presence felt there. Welcome back, 32.
His nickname is Swerve.
Like it. They never accused me, Michael, of swerve.
Yeah, I was not known by that either in my athletic days.
So it looks like they're not playing Runyon. They're playing
Ricky Wagner, is it?
Yeah, they might be worried about Fletcher Cox being a veteran, so they moved Turner to right guard.
Uh-oh.
Boy, he did well to do what he did, pick up the ball. Not a good start. Was the pitch all right, or did he take his eyes off at 33?
That's on Jones.
Yeah, that is on Jones.
Yeah, if you move faster, there might have been a move around the other end, but wow, it was wide.
The aforementioned John Runyon Jr. has done a super job. His father, of course, played for the Eagles for some 15 years or more. Former teammate at Michigan.
Look out.
Wow. That hasn't happened very often.
12th of the year.
That's Lucas Patrick playing left guard.
Yeah, as you said, John, maybe they just want Wagner's bulk in there, but he certainly whiffed on that one. Good luck.
And that's Javon Hargrave. He's had a pretty good year. He came over from Pittsburgh. He was a dominant force on that Steelers defense for a couple of years.
We talked about this team being on that defensive line 7 or 8 deep, third and a mile. Well, let's just get it up the field a little bit and make room for your punter.
Yeah.
Inauspicious start for the offense. And the Vikings beat Jacksonville. That was a heck of a game going to overtime.
I have no problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
The Jets almost ruined their Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes today, though. They almost won.
But not quite, huh?
Not quite. They got to stop. They turned him over on 4th down with a minute and a half to go, and somehow Vegas got the ball back and threw up a little Hail Mary that was caught. Oh, that's not a good punt.
No, but he's just struggled. He has just struggled, John.
Yeah, he's had a quad injury on his kicking leg, but time to heal that up.
So much for the quick start. Boys need a turnover. You know, John, it was Sunday night television. It was the Bears, and obviously the Packers came in with an edge. You go back to the Jacksonville game, and they didn't have it. You kept saying, what's going on with the effort here? And they were able to find a way to beat an inferior team. This team, the Eagles, has enough weapons, especially on defense, and has enough to play for where they can't be messing around here. I would think that they'll recall last year, especially the veteran Rodgers, what happened when they came into their house and beat them and took out Jamal Williams, which, as you say, totally altered the running game plan, and Aaron Jones carrying most of the load, 15 carries for 31 yards. So I hope they've got a little, want to here.
Well, I think they do. New Orleans won. They have to keep within striking distance of them. Yeah, this is a tough team always for the Packers to match up with. The only difference in having Ertz back is they're going to dink and dunk and try to ball control as much as they can, and the Packers just don't have the speed or the playmakers on defense to really guard against that. But we'll see.
Another key matchup to watch today is Darius Slay versus Devontae Adams. I would assume Slay was on him. I wasn't paying attention to that matchup yet, but he was banged up coming to this week, questionable to play, and he's active. So I'll have to watch Devontae Adams versus him.
And as you said, DK Metcalf of the Seahawks absolutely ate up Slay.
He did. He's been eating everybody up, though. I think a lot of corners struggle with how big Metcalf is. He's just a different animal compared to every other receiver as far as his height and weight go.
His dad played for the Bears. He was an offensive lineman for the Bears in the early 2000s. And he's that second coming of Terrell Owens. I mean, basically, he's going to be a superstar.
Yes.
Second round pick.
What an incredible build. The guy looks like a bodybuilder. There's no fat on him. He's huge. What is he, 6'3" or so, 230, and has speed to burn.
Yeah.
And wasn't he a second rounder, John? Didn't he slip past a lot of teams?
Yeah, late second round. And
I think he struggled with the cone drills a little bit, and people were worried he couldn't run routes, which obviously is not true.
Shows you everybody's human. You can miss sometimes, and the Seahawks couldn't be more grateful, as the Packers are.
Oh, boy.
Man, I'm liking this.
well,
Good play call right there.
Preston Smith is just not a good contain guy.
Yeah, he's shown a little life, but he's not come close to matching his 12-sack performance of a year ago. It was talk that Doug Peterson was going to not necessarily give up play calling duties, but get a little bit of help here and there. But he said, no, this is mine. I'm going to continue doing what I do. And he's a good play caller, isn't he, John?
He is.
He's a good head coach.
Right. He learned from some good Packer coaches.
Sure did. Make a move, bad tackling. Golly. This is just what Wentz needs. Get himself a little confidence.
It's been a dominating first quarter for the Eagles, too. I mean, they're going to have probably a possession. It's going to be around 10 minutes, you'd think, come the end of the quarter. At least.
This would be a time for a turnover. overrunning. It's just terrible. I figure if I get on the defense enough, they'll turn it around, make a good player too. That seems to be their pattern, but so far, so bad. So this Howard's a good running back, John. You talked about the ability of the Eagles to run the football. And I suppose they've been behind so often, Michael, that they've had to go to the air, right? And be one-dimensional.
Yeah, and they're bringing up on TV right now his rushing stats, Jordan Howard's rushing stats against Green Bay last year.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's played that much this year for the Eagles. I have to go
No,
back and check his
he's been
stats.
hurt.
He's been hurt?
Yeah.
Come on, guys, let's stiffen up now.
That's a nice big back for the Eagles to get back to go along with Miles Sanders and Boston Scott.
JD, we see where Detroit waived the wide receiver Marvin Hall in a quote-unquote youth movement, though Hall is 27. 113 yards versus the Colts this year. If you're the Pack, would you consider him, or are you good to go at receiver, especially with Robert Tonyan playing so well at tight end?
Yeah, I'm good to go. They have Austin. They can integrate him. Irvin's back. They can use him as a hybrid. I think they're pretty much set.
Get him.
There you go.
All right. Rashawn Gary. John, this kid, I think do you think he's starting to turn the corner? I'm excited.
Yeah, sometimes it's baby steps. And with him, last year he was just green as grass, although his strength at Michigan, and I saw him play against Wisconsin, is putting his hand on the ground, playing defensive tackle. He can jack guys. He stood up last year for the first time and really sought the counsel of both the Smith brothers, and they like that. Veterans like that when rookies are listening. Now they have him inside on this one, but he can usually jack a lineman.
Yeah, he goes 2 for 3 on third.
Oh, if you're Wentz, you got to get rid of the ball there. Took him out of field goal range.
Oh, man. Okay.
That was a big play there for the Packers.
Yeah, it was. That Kiki?
Yeah, Kiki was your, fifth round pick, and Gary was your number 1 pick.
All right, guys. Way to stiffen. Yeah, New Orleans winning again, and although that game got very competitive, didn't it?
It did.
With Atlanta. Field position game, and how concerned are you, John, about the punting of J.K. Scott? He was such an asset early, as you point out. He's had an injury. I don't know if it's still bothering him, but
yeah, it's a quad injury on his kicking leg, and I don't know. It's one of those things where, they're going to make a decision. I think they've had several punters coming in, but with this COVID, it's really difficult to bring guys in because you have to bring them in, and if you think you're going to sign them, they have to sit out for about a week, quarantine in a hotel room or an apartment. And if they test negative again, then they can bring them on the team.
I don't know what in the world is going on with a young rookie running back, A.J. Dillon. He's been on COVID forever, John. Can you figure? I know we've talked about this, and they keep saying he's COVID, but nobody's explaining anything. Maybe there's something I've missed, but this seems like an inordinately long period of time for him to be out.
The insidious thing about COVID is it impacts everyone differently, depending on your blood type, depending if you have pre-existing conditions. Some of the Penn State people, the doctors at Penn State found that COVID goes into your lungs and causes a very serious heart-lung issue potentially. So I know that's what, when Marquette, for example, had Dexter Acano, he developed COVID. and he was out for 2 weeks. And it took him about 2-3 weeks to get doctor's approval because they wanted to make sure there were no complications, there were no lung issues. And then with HIPAA, nobody says anything about anything. So you don't know. I think he's back. I think he's back and he's working out with the team. So I think
Well, that's good news. You start to get concerned.
But you just don't need him right now.
True that. He's John Dodds, the Packers historian, with Michael Rachel. I'm Tom Pippins, the Pippin Dodds Packers podcast with Michael Rachel, produced by Jason Ruck. Every week, a fabulous job. Pre-game shows, our viewing parties here from the studios at WSS, WisconsinSportsStream.com, Facebook and Twitter, PippinDodds.com/ask for your questions. We'd love to have you fire us off a few and have some fun here with you on this viewing party Sunday. See what the Packers can do on offense. And another partner I want to make mention of, guys, is FORE, F-O-R-E, Milwaukee Golf Simulator Bar located on Water Street downtown, giving unique golf experiences for players of all levels with PGA instruction, practice, and indoor play. Art golf simulators. You can play over 40 courses around the country. Get yourself a slice of pizza and a bear, and there are a few yards for Aaron Jones. Or you could also have a beer if you don't want to have a bear.
The Philadelphia defense is rated 9th, but their offense has been so bad that they are probably a lot better than 9th. So they're probably a top 5 defense, especially against the run. They said tied for 23rd, but the other teams have leads, and so they're running a lot more.
Yeah. All right, there's Devontae. Beautiful. Well done by 12 and 17 once again. Needed something to get them started, fellas.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, John. Jim Schwartz, of course, he's been around forever. Former Lions head coach, and he's done a good job as a coordinator. He's one of those guys they say doesn't blitz a whole heck of a lot, and the defense is a little bit leaky, but it's one of those bend don't break. That's a good unit. Aaron Rodgers has done it all season, leading the league, and boy, there goes the first quarter, dominated, as Michael said, time-wise and what have you, by Philadelphia, but yet only 3 points to show for it.
Yeah, the Packers only had the ball for 3 minutes, 23 seconds.
Man.
First quarter.
Which is unlike anything we've seen all year.
Yeah.
It's usually them controlling.
Mm-hmm.
My big concern from that first quarter is 5 yards per carry for Philadelphia, 10 attempts for 50 yards. That's concerning, especially because they're going to run the ball.
We've seen it forever and a day with this defense, but they've been able to stiffen. So if the Packers get a win here, I mean, the division that's it. There's even now you say they're in good shape, but Michael, I would think you get a win here, you can start looking big picture. And as John said, can you catch New Orleans as they go to 10 up and 2 down today by surviving the surging Falcons at the end there?
Yeah, you need to catch New Orleans. That 1 seed is so important this year, with only one team getting a bye, as we've harped on all season long. The NFC North isn't where people should be focusing on, because there needs to be bigger goals than that this year, especially when the NFC North is so down this year.
If not for COVID, John Dodds would be at Lambeau Field doing the statistics for the MVP radio crew, the dynamic duo of Wayne Larrivee and Larry Rock McCarron. John, it looks like you've got some numbers or trends or something going through your mind right now. What you thinking?
Well, I'm just looking at the first quarter stats. First downs, Philadelphia 6, Green Bay 1. That's other things that are tripping me. Just the time of possession, 11:37 to 3:23. And the Packers have to get a drive going here and keep the defense off the field. The defense at least stopped them the last time with 2 sacks. They'll have to figure out. Right now, the Packers are being hurt more by the tight ends, but that happened last year too. They're pretty wily when it comes to short routes by the tight ends. to Ertz and Goddard.
Yep. Yeah, those, as Mike was saying, those are solid tight ends. He may not, his receivers may be wanting somewhat, but the tight end, that's a good duo. Week 13 in this most unusual season. Were you wondering, guys, if at some point in time we'd get this far in the season with everything that's gone on?
I think there was a moment in time in the summer when the NBA still wasn't back and where nothing was going on, where I was looking ahead and being like, well, I don't know how the NFL is going to work because they're not going to go to a bubble like the NBA did and NHL did. So just the unknown of how a non-bubble would work had me concerning a little bit. But I feel like every year when week 13 comes around, it's or right around this time, it's just like, where did the time go? I can't believe it's already week 13.
Yeah, there's the graphic with the stats JD was referring to. Aaron Rodgers, his 193rd career game, 397 passing touchdowns, fastest ever to 400 is Drew Brees in 205.
There's Lazard.
Good to have Lazard back. So if he gets 2 more passing TDs today, Aaron would become the first player in NFL history with 5 seasons of 35 or more passing scores. Boy, Arizona's gone downhill, haven't they?
Yeah, they're tied right now with the Rams, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But the Rams have been sliding a little bit as well. It's a big game for both teams in the NFC West.
First and 10, do it again, as they say. Beautiful. What a strike. Those two guys, John, it's artistry, isn't it? It's the kind of combination you've seen going back to Brett Favre with Sterling Sharp and Rodgers with his array of great receivers, Jordy Nelson certainly, but the chemistry that these two have is just, it's fun to watch, and it's more than evident. They're on the same page, as they say, huh?
Yeah, they might extend Adams' contract to reduce the salary cap number next year. Kind of a big deal, and give him a raise, give him more bonus money. So that'll be interesting to watch out for in the offseason.
Nice catch by Lazard. Boy, he's been a great compliment. How super it is to get him back at this time. Highest win percentage in December since 1950. It's the highest percentage. Brady's played in an awful lot of games. Favre wasn't bad, huh?
2 of the top 3 Green Bay Packers.
You betcha.
Favre was unbelievable until about 2005, and they had that real bad rebuilding year where they had lost a bunch of games.
Mm-hmm. Good surge there by Aaron Jones for the first.
Yeah, I think what they're going to do in the offseason is extend Devontae Adams' contract, give him more guaranteed money, and lower his cap number for next year. If they can lower the number for next year, then they can maybe look at Aaron Jones. Might look at Kevin King, or they might look at the hopefully the Christmas present that's going to happen when everybody starts cutting really good veterans because of cap problems next year. If that's the case, there's going to be a ton of really low-priced, top-quality vets. That's an impressive run against this defense.
I love the cleats Aaron Jones is wearing. Styling.
I think this is the week in the NFL. I think
got him on too, doesn't he?
Yeah, there's usually 1 week in the NFL season where players are allowed to have their own custom messages on their cleats, and I think this is the week for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can see some on the Eagles side too.
Yeah,
like the combination.
This drive is 8 plays, 70 yards so far, 428.
Just what you wanted so far, right?
Yeah. And they're off balance. They don't know if they're going to run or pass.
Not much there. Uh-oh. Somebody, Sternberger? He's all right.
Going back to the Christmas gifts thing real quick. I saw it today. It's a little unrelated. I'll make it quick. So it's Giannis's birthday today for the Bucks, and Chris Middleton. Yeah, Chris Middleton bought him a pen for his birthday so that he would sign the Supermax. It's pretty funny.
You know, it's so goofy, isn't it, guys? You see where, oh, he tweeted a picture of himself and he's smiling. This must be good for the Superman. Who knows?
I used to sit on the other side to the right of where Nathaniel Hackett is, literally 5 feet away from where he is. That's where I've sat for the last 5 years.
Who took your seats? I couldn't tell who that was in the picture.
They don't actually know. It's the other side.
Oh, okay.
The next booth over is the radio booth, and
They kind of retired that seat for the year. Nobody can sit in that seat but John Dodds.
they put a sheet of plastic up between Wayne Larrabee and Larry McCarron, so they're socially distanced. That's what they decided to do.
It's got to be different. You know, everybody adjusting, but we're thankful to have Packers football. And I know everybody within the sound of our voices and far beyond feels the same way. Love to get any questions you might have again at pippindodds.com/ask. Wisconsin Sports Stream, WSS, Facebook, and Twitter.
The Packers are relatively healthy, though. When you look at the inactives, you have Austin and you have Anthony Rush, the big defensive lineman. Those are two that they picked up, signed in the past 2 weeks. So they're obviously probably not assignment sure. And then you have Jordan Love, who's always been off, the quarterback. Josh Jackson has a concussion, but they don't need him because both King and Alexander are back and playing. And so a healthy scratch was Jonathan Garvin. So they did put Corey Linsley on the injured reserve, so he'll be out for at least 3 weeks. But that opens up a roster spot. But compared to some years, they're looking pretty good right now. Knock on wood.
And to have that depth on the offensive line, and as good as Balaga is, John, at least to this point, it doesn't appear that they've missed him as much as I think we were concerned that they would.
Not at all. And it was the master move because Turner, I never would have thought last year, based on his play, that he could play both tackles, including left tackle.
Mm-hmm.
At left guard last year, he was okay. They gave him some big money, but the big money was worth it. He has been done yeoman's work. And obviously they didn't want running up against this veteran defensive line. Thought it could be abused. So they have Lucas Patrick moved from right guard to left guard. And then they moved Turner from right tackle to right guard. And then they brought in Ricky Wagner to right tackle. And he's a good run blocker. So far, so good. And of course, you got Jenkins at center.
The versatile one. Oh, he's just been amazing.
Big play here on third down. Eagles are the 5th best team defensively on third downs. There's a nice play right there.
Good play. You bet it is, pal.
And that's why the Packers are one of the best teams on third downs on offense.
Yep. Strength against strength. Still can't get over the Bears basically gifting that one to the Lions. As John said, you got to go listen to Chicago Bears post-game radio.
It's the best. After a loss, it's the best.
Oh, you said it. Those old diehard ex-Bears. Play action.
Sternberger.
Sternberger.
Get in there.
Oh, baby, go.
Tunyon.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. Thought I saw 7.
Sternberger.
Oh, that is Tunyon. Was that Tunyon?
It was Tunyon, yeah.
Sternberger got beaten up about 3 plays ago. They had a delay. He got his, I don't know if he got his bell rung.
Sternberger?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was getting up slowly. Yeah. Well, Tunyon's got a little savvy, a former quarterback, so he's athletic. And as we've been saying, this has been really great for the Packers offense to have him come on the way that he has. Rogers 7 of 7, 78 yards on this impressive drive. Hopefully it gets him to the house. Think he was always Robert Tunyon, Michael, and just people didn't know, or do you think he was Tunyon and decided, yeah, I'm in the NFL, I'm with the Packers, I'm getting good here. I want a name that people will recognize. Tunyon.
I think it's always been Tunyon, and he just didn't want to say anything, like you said, because he was a rookie and wanted to prove his worth before correcting people on his name.
Yeah, I went in through that a lot in my TV years when people called me John Milan many years. I didn't want to correct them.
Real quick, and I hate to keep bringing the Bucks up, but I found out yesterday that Giannis's last name is actually not his real last name. He changed it when he came overseas to phonetically spell it out as to how people should be saying his name.
Can't even imagine.
He left Nigeria and came to Greece, or when he came to the States?
Yeah, so after this drive, I guess I'll go into the story a little bit because it's kind of interesting. Oh, nice. Did he catch that?
Yeah, huh? No.
What a catch.
You're not giving it to him. This is the worst possible situation for the Green Bay Packers, 3rd and short.
I can't believe he caught that.
Man, did he?
Good mark. That's a good mark. It's right on the inch line.
Yeah, wow.
Is it a catch?
Yeah, I think his hand was underneath it.
Yeah, and he maintained it. Boy, that's brilliant athleticism. Going to Jones, or are you going to roll out here, John?
Oh, I don't like that.
Man alive.
Not against.
It was all over him that time. Give him credit, 24.
Yeah, the clue that it was going to be a pass was Jamal Williams wasn't in the backfield.
Mm-hmm.
But here we go.
He's going. Boy, he's never lacked for a little bit of an edge.
That was kind of weak in terms of, it looked like he got interfered with.
And I think they're throwing again, aren't they?
Is that EQ St. Brown down here?
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Touchdown.
Wow. Nice catch again by Devontae.
Sure was.
Boy.
Just so athletic.
That DB almost carried him off the field where it's not a touchdown. I want to see a replay.
Yeah, I was wondering if he got either the butt cheek down or 2 feet.
Because if he only got 1 foot down, the guy threw him out of the.
Right.
Oh, good. He got it.
Yeah, he got
good.
But that was
almost a really nice play by Slay. Yeah.
Yeah, give him credit. He's had you couldn't have better. That's blanket coverage, but this is this year statistically the best receiver in all of football, and it is just so fun to watch those two.
It's been unbelievable. It's really just so fascinating to watch him every week.
You know, you get respect when Z Smith puts your jacket on for you.
Yeah. 7th straight game with a TD tying Don Hudson. That's heady company, JD, historian.
That was 14 plays, 88 yards, and 742. And I've noticed ever since they missed that extra point, they've either been going up the middle or from the left, it was so curious against the Bears. They centered that thing from right to left, and he missed it last week.
And then made the adjustment as the veteran does. Well, you talk so often, John, about the swirling winds at Lambeau, especially this time of year.
And it's got to be bad today because they're holding the kickoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the wind was not a factor for many, many years. I don't know if it's just getting the climate is changing or something, but much more wind, much more precipitation the last 20 years than the first 20 that I was covering. And maybe the first 20 I was covering the Packers, they weren't that successful, so they didn't play many late December, early January games as they did in the last 20. But since they put that upper deck in, there's a swirl.
That upper deck changed the dynamic, didn't it?
It did, but even not accounting for that, it's been a lot windier. The weather's been much more extreme the last 10 years, especially wind-wise. You can see that driving up to Green Bay. You see the big flag at the insurance company right about the halfway mark between Milwaukee and Green Bay. And it was usually limp for many years. It's the largest freestanding American flag and pole in the world. And so the thing has been just totally stretched out with the wind many times the last 5 years. So I don't know what that means. I'll either ask John Milan or what that means. But it's a tough, nothing's a sure thing on a kick in Lambeau.
Which again speaks to the consistency and the overall excellence of Mason Crosby, John, all these years.
Even his first game, he kicked 2 field goals of, I think, greater than 48 yards, maybe even greater than 50 yards. And they won 6-3 over Philadelphia. And that was his first game. And that's when you knew. And he had a free kick of 70 yards that he kicked just under the upright. So that was in probably about 2007.
That's now 7 straight games for Davante Adams with a touchdown.
Right. We're mentioning, I think that ties Don Hudson. Rarefied air. People are saying maybe some of the younger ones, who is Don Hudson? Well, even we didn't see him, Michael. He was way, way back. But let's see what the flag is here.
I met him one time. I was at the Super Bowl in San Diego for I think which game that was. I don't think it was was it the
Packers?
It wasn't Packer Denver. It was the Washington Redskin Denver Bronco one where the Grambling quarterback threw 5 touchdown passes in the second quarter, Doug Williams.
Mm-hmm.
And he was flipping the coin. Don Hudson was flipping the coin for that Super Bowl.
Super Bowl 22?
Yeah, it was the one.
I've got my mug here with all the Super Bowls on it. So I'm going and looking at Washington, Denver, and I see Super Bowl 22.
It was like 48-17 or 48-20.
I got 42-10 on the cup.
42-10, yeah. And all those I think he threw 5 touchdown passes the second quarter. After Denver was up 10-0.
Yeah, he was a Hall of Famer that day, wasn't he? All right, here's a chance to get good field position if they can hold them here.
Yeah, the Packers are playing with 3 defensive linemen, and they're 3-4. So it's a traditional 3-4. It's not a nickel back 3-4.
But John, again, speaking of Don Hudson, he was brilliant, wasn't he? What an athlete out of Alabama, I believe, and he probably could have played today and been a star.
Well, credit Curly Lambeau for finding him and signing him before George Halas did. And how you got him up, an Alabama guy, up to Green Bay, amazing. But yeah, he's one of those guys where you check the stats, and he had 70 catches, and the next 7 guys totaled about 45 catches. It was amazing how it would be like if Davante Adams had 45 touchdown catches this year. He was that far away from everybody else.
Kenny lost his balance.
Yeah, that's a tough one because that was 3rd and 4. Got him an automatic first down. Deep in Philadelphia territory. Could have been a good switch of the field if they had gotten a stop there.
You said it.
Just don't make them mad.
Ooh.
Oh, nice play, Jerry. He's been a little bit quiet lately since coming back from the concussion. but he is a playmaker.
Sometimes they're quiet though because they're throwing the other way.
Yeah, true that.
I think when the Packers drafted Willie Buchanan, who's the best rookie DB I've ever seen, he was a defensive MVP after his rookie year at cornerback. They said he had 2 interceptions only his senior year, and some people were downgrading him. And they said that was the first 2 drives, and then nobody threw it on the rest of the year in college. So,
Yeah. John, who was the greatest Packers corner ever? Is it Herb Adderley?
yeah, it's Herb Adderley. And for one season, it was Willie Buchanan. He was that good. It was Herb Adderley like.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start going top DBs, you got to put Charles Woodson in there.
Yes.
Because that guy hit like a linebacker. He was just a bigger DB and a physical DB.
Mm-hmm.
What a story that was, how they resurrected his career.
And credit to Mike McCarthy, because he just brought him along nicely and said, if you're going to work out on your own, I trust you to come in shape. And it made a big difference in his attitude. Get him, baby. Come on.
There you go.
Down goes Carson Wentz.
You could tell how difficult, very Roman Gabriel-esque, how difficult it is to get him down.
Yeah.
Got a bad offensive line and a bad knee. But 3 years
he switches his ball to his left hand here. Kind of risky.
Yeah, I wondered about that too, Michael. Green in there, Gary in there.
All right, perfect opportunity for the Packers here. 4-minute drive, 7 points, and then get the ball back to start the second half.
Right. There's only 5 minutes left in the half.
Right.
I'm going to be able to
go a long drive together.
What are you going to be able to do, John Dash?
I'm going to be able to rake or maybe clean the ground.
Uh-oh. Flag.
Did he call for a fair catch and then he ran? Is that what he did? That was an early flag.
And it was away from where everybody was playing, or running.
Yeah. It was a hole.
And they're looking for commercial breaks.
Look at this. Most consecutive games sacked 3+ times. Carson Wentz.
That's a tough deal on a quarterback.
You said it.
Rodgers has 3 this year, right?
Yes. Now, as you point out, too, not just physically, but it gets in your brain.
Rodgers got touched once last week.
Yeah, I mean, it's unusual to see him get sacked. 46 sacks coming into the game. But he's down 2 or 3 times. I think he is down 3 times already, isn't he, Michael?
Yeah, at least 3. 49. I'll double check that. Might be.
PippinDodds.com/ask for your questions. WisconsinSportsStream.com, Facebook and Twitter. Our producer is Jason Ruck. Our great crew includes John Dodds and Michael Rachel. I'm Tom Pippins, and we're delighted that you're with us here for our little viewing party.
You had a Giannis story, Mike?
Oh, yes.
There were rumors that he was going to sign his deal on his birthday, the max deal with the Bucks. So is today his birthday?
Today is his birthday, yes.
Ooh.
And it has not happened yet, but
yeah,
we'll see. But yeah, back to that story real quick. So he was born in Greece, but his parents were born in Nigeria, and their last name was Adetokunbo, which is Adetun. Hold on, it's tough for me still. It was.
Maybe you need to bring Marv.
There
Albert.
It is. I got it. I know, right? It was Adetokunbo, and when Giannis was leaving Greece for the United States. He wanted it phonetically spelled out so that people would pronounce it correctly, which is ironic because nobody can say his name, or they couldn't at least. But in Greece, you don't say D and B. There's different sounds for those two letters. So the D is NT in Greek, and then the B is MP in Greek. So that's why it got changed from the D and the B to Antetokounmpo.
Good story. And another good one about Chris Middleton giving him a pen.
Yeah, that one. That's pretty funny to me.
If I had to predict, he's staying.
Yeah,
I think you're right, John. I feel pretty good as they get closer, but he could also opt out after 2 years, could he not? Even if he signs the Supermax?
That I'm not sure of, but he could at any time in the contract, he could say, trade me.
Yeah, well, he could do that.
Yeah, so but I think he's a pretty good guy, and he's just really appreciative of his whole experience.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
There's one more wrinkle to that story is he could also sign it at the end of next year as well, the Supermax.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to see that happen.
No, that'll be stressful.
Bucks Nation will go bonkers. But didn't he have a quote about, or he did a story with somebody and he was saying, yeah, listen, if LeBron wants to come to Milwaukee, you know.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think he understands American culture yet.
Yeah. There's Sternberger. I wonder if he's doing the concussion protocol.
Yeah, Jason, our producer, said he got kicked in the face. So.
Okay. Is that rollout? Oh, it's just beautiful. Mercedes Lewis, go, baby, go. Galloping down the field. How do you like that call? That play action has been fabulous. And he's a master, isn't he, John? And rolling out and just to his left.
And the patience.
Pardon me?
The patience.
Yes.
He's back there. He's not worried about being rushed. He's just a cool customer. Flip that baby up there. And yeah, Mercedes Lewis, he's really big in the locker room. Look at that. It's like Mike Ditka running at the tail end of his career.
Yeah, bigger than Ditka. I see Andrew Grogan is joining us, the biggest Packers fan in Paris and part of our crack marketing team. Go, baby.
Get rid of it. Ooh. That was an awkward slide, too.
That was head first.
He's very good at those awkward slides, always making Packers fans hold their breath.
Yeah, he's athletic, and you can tell how athletic he is when you watch other games, and you can see that guys can't escape or little plays aren't done or accomplished the way Rodgers can. It's just really, athleticism is more than running a 4.2 40.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Malik
is in the game. Taylor, it must be the number I'm thinking. Wasn't Antonio Freeman 86, guys?
Yes. As was Ed West and John Hilton.
All right. The toolbox, Eddie West. Why'd they call him the toolbox?
Because he was built like a brick toolbox. Yeah. The interesting thing is Kevin Harlan, who was on our show last summer, it was great to catch up with. One of the few advantages of COVID is we could catch up with Kevin, who's always doing 10 things at once, always for TNT and the NBA and the NFL. And in 1992, he was working with the play-by-play voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, and he invited me. He saw me before a game. He goes, "Hey, John, you want to listen in?" I said, "Sure." So I was a fly on the wall in their broadcast booth during the Packer exhibition game with Kansas City in Milwaukee County Stadium. And Favre was new to the Packers. It was either his first or his second year. I'd have to look it up exactly. I think it was 92. But Ed West went out 15 yards over the middle and turned around and put his hands up like this. And Brett Favre stepped up into the pocket, saw him, and was getting pressured. And as he built momentum up, he threw it. He gave him the fastball, and the thing zinged in, and it hit him in the face mask and bounced away before he could close his hands. And I remember listening to the entire press box. I could hear him go, "Oh." I mean, that was a Nolan Ryan heater.
Yeah.
And it was Ed West. But Favre was really good later in his career at throwing those little lobs to Bubba Franks at the end zone, or you didn't have to give him number one. But I've never seen a guy who's waving and they throw it 15 yards away and he can't close his hands before it hits him in the nose.
Yeah, I don't think the Jugs gun can simulate that. Mike Holmgren used to, how jacked up he got, John, for games, right? And throw the ball into the stands or something.
Right.
Hey, Rocket Man here, calm down.
Right.
Kevin
Hello,
Harlan, though,
Andrew.
Kevin Harlan is
Hey,
one of
Andrew.
the best radio announcers. He's good on TV as well, but radio especially, I find him
Kevin
really
Harlan?
entertaining. Kevin Harlan, yeah. I remember I was listening on the radio and there was some, lunatic running on the field and he was calling the action for that guy. And it's one of the funniest clips ever. It was like a blowout football game. And he's like, he's at the 40, he's down to the 30. It was hilarious.
And
Wasn't there a chipmunk or something too, or a raccoon that he had a great play-by-play call on?
right. It was either a cat or
It was
something.
a cat. Yeah.
Was it?
I think it was at a Giants game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How you feeling about this game, Andrew, there in Paris?
I'm feeling good. I think we're still going to run the table. I do want to tell you, we do have a guest coming who is the man behind the Packers of Scotland.
Really?
So our international Packers connection. We actually have a lot of guests that were excited about being on the show. So we had to kind of like fit it all in properly. But this guy is special. Just being from Scotland. It's also his birthday today. So he'll be coming in.
Yeah. Is he in Scotland?
He's in Scotland. Yes.
I haven't seen a lot of Jamal Williams, but he's getting a little bit of work here. Well, that sounds like fun. And he's a big Packers fan, huh?
Yeah. He'll have a few stories for you.
Did he,
that I'm
did
sure
he
you
grow
enjoy.
up there, Andrew, or?
Yeah, he's from Scotland. I'll let him tell the story. Sorry I didn't get everything over bio-wise like I was planning.
We'll roll with it.
But,
That's what we do, right? We're having a viewing party. It's all good.
Yeah.
And Shannon,
But I think he's a lot of fun. And then we have another guy. Yeah, we have Matt Maurice. Yeah.
good from co-work. Good people. Thankful that Shannon gave me the privilege of meeting him. Real good people there. So we'll have fun.
Here's a big play because you're getting the ball back in about
Yes.
the second half.
Yes.
Look out.
Well,
Be there.
somebody coming
Oh,
open.
yeah.
Yes!
There's Tanya.
Oh, Tunyon. Oh, man.
Boy, that was huge.
Flags.
That was a great play by Rodgers. I thought he was going to go get sacked, and he
Yeah.
created an extra 4 seconds for himself.
Yeah. I think they have about 300 people at Lambeau Field, and I have 2 screaming fans here, my wife and stepson in the other room, just loving that one.
Oh, now that's Jordy Nelson like look at him. That's Jordy Nelson like knowing what he's looking at. That is a development, a positive development in Tunyon's career.
He really has made a lot of progress, hasn't he? He's emerging before our eyes here.
Yeah. That was
That's right.
7 plays, 82 yards, 346.
And big, John, as you say, getting the ball back. You hold them here, hopefully. So Rodgers 1 away now, Michael, from 400 career touchdown tosses.
Yeah, he's at 399. How about Sternberger for 400?
Well, he won't remember it if he catches it.
Oh, that's true. I forgot he went out with a concussion,
Yeah.
most likely.
Yeah, speaking of that, and of course, the concussion protocol has changed so much. Remember when Favre went out and was dinged up and couldn't even remember that he threw a touchdown pass?
Yeah, that was the giant game where he had a touchdown pass in I think it was 36 consecutive games, and he was on this string, and it was like Johnny Unitas and Peyton Manning, I think, were up there over 40, and he got dinged, and they put him on the bench, and they're looking at him. The doctors, how many fingers, or can you follow it? He didn't know where he was, and then somebody else got dinged on a punt return. So the doctor went out on the field, and as they're bringing the people out, he goes back to Favre, and Favre isn't there, and they look at him. He throws a touchdown pass to I think it was Antonio Freeman, and he comes back. He had no memory of any play or anything that happened that whole first half.
I mean, again, you can laugh, you admire the toughness, but back then they weren't as up to date. You get your bell rung and you come back in the game. Don Beebe, I think we've talked about that here before. Absolutely cold-cocked and went and grabbed his helmet, came back on the field. I don't know if he had a touchdown reception or returned a punt for a TD.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, when Jair Alexander had the concussion a few weeks ago, and he was out for I think he missed 2 games. You have to watch that because that's what impacted Sam Shields' career. Sam Shields was a good cover guy, but it got to the point where if he made a hard tackle, there was a Brewer third baseman that I'll think of his name in a minute, but there's a Brewer third baseman who had concussion issues who just was going back down the left field foul line trying to catch a ball, and he jumped to catch it, and he just landed on his shoulder, and it vibrated his body and his head, and it was like, and he didn't even touch his head, but he was out for the end of his career.
Yeah, he was never the same.
Is this a recent Brewer player or how long ago?
No, this is 20, 25 years ago.
Oh,
I'll look
That's
it up.
unbelievable that it's that long. You're right.
I was
Corey,
going to start brainstorming, but I don't think I'd be helpful brainstorming
how
anymore.
about Corey Koski? Could that be it, JD?
Yeah, that might be it. Yeah, it was just a nothing hit.
He was a good ball player too. So Andrew O'Grogan is thinking the Pack are going to run the table. I hope you're right on. I think they're going to have to find a way to contain Derrick Henry. I'm really scared about that.
Yeah.
That man is a beast.
Yeah, that's always a problem with the Pack. Well, I just want to tell you. So this guy, I'm going to have him call in. He'll pop in a little bit. Maddie is his name, and he's fun to talk to. You'll love the accent, and I think he'll have a lot to say about Packers fans from different places. He was also well connected here in Paris with Pierre, who is the founder of the Packers Paris bar, where of course Aaron Rodgers came to say hi, Donald Driver, Devontae Adams, and so on. So I'm sure he'll have stories there too. So I'll tell him to pop in, and I'm sure I guess we'll see what we can do about when he'll come on.
Thanks, Andrew. Look forward to that. Well, number 11 still has some wheels, guys, huh?
Yeah.
Able to outrun a couple of linemen anyway. I was just thinking to myself, this is a good spot to be in, Michael, because you've got them down 14-3, and they've got to go to the pass, trying to get back in this thing before the half.
I was thinking for a second as once was scrambling, if he threw the ball away, Packers might have been able to get the ball back there with 2 timeouts, but now it's dead, obviously, because the Eagles picked up the first down.
Yeah, just like to see him keep them off the scoreboard and get that ball back. They're coming. Come on, baby. Oh, nice play by Wentz. Credit where credit is due.
If you remember at the end of the Seattle game last week, they completed a Hail Mary to ex-Packer Richard Rodgers on the final play of the game.
I'm glad you brought him up. You don't hear much at all about Rashawn Gary down there. Savage backed off him.
Looked like
Oh yeah.
the slick field. Turned his leg. There's his leg. Now watch his leg right.
Ooh.
Just kind of slid out. It just slid out
Yeah.
like it was a groin issue or something.
You've talked a lot, John Dodds, about the slick surface at Lambeau.
It looks good, but it's really slick. And boy, I hate to. Now, one thing I noticed about Gary is he would walk off like this. He probably did it 5 times last year.
Mm-hmm.
There's some guys, it's kind of like the Meadowlark Lemon syndrome with some players where Meadowlark Lemon used to fake an injury and they'd do this. And, are you okay? Are you okay? It's my leg, kind of a thing. And so that shtick worked. I mean, it was funny every time he did it. Every Globetrotter I laughed. Every Globetrotter game I ever saw on TV or in person at the arena, it worked. But sometimes guys like that, Kenny Clark is the one that when he goes off, they always say he won't return. And then it's like 90% chance he will return because he just recuperates.
Get it right there. All right.
Looks like our guest has arrived, Pip and JD. Looks like Matt is here.
Hi there.
Hey, how you doing, Matt?
Very well now because of the score. That first quarter wasn't pretty.
Oh, Matty, I love hearing your voice, man. Just keep talking.
Yeah, that's what the women usually say to me, not the men.
Well, I don't have anything for that, but it's nice to have you on the Pip and Dodds Packers podcast with Michael and Rachel, our producer Jason Ruck, and Andrew and Shannon from our marketing team. So what's the connection out there? A huge Packers fan in Scotland. Love to hear the backstory, please.
Yeah, a lot. Bit of a long story, but I used to live in Paris back in the early 2000s with an ex-girlfriend who was French, and I moved out there. I actually started running a Scottish bar in 2010, and through that I met another bar owner, and his name is Pierre, and just by chance I got a chance to become the manager of his bar. He opened the bar in 2007, and I joined the team in 2010. And at the interview, he said, "This is a Packers bar," and I was like, a Packers bar in Paris? That's strange. And I already liked NFL at that point, so I became the manager of the bar. And by default, I was like, well, I'm the manager of this bar. I like NFL. So I became a Packers fan. And that was in the 2010-11 season. And of course, the Packers went on to win the Super Bowl that year. So the love just... so yeah, that's the reason I became a Packers fan. It was because of becoming a manager of a Packers bar in Paris. So
that's pretty neat. A lot of slipping and sliding still at Lambeau Field, and the Pack get away without allowing any more points, 14-3. How do you feel about the team this year, Matty? Speaking of Super Bowl, you think there's a shot this year?
I mean, there's always a shot, isn't there? I mean, there's always a shot. The offense has been pretty much on fire this season, but I think it's the same old problem. We always seem to look at defense and go, right, there's something not quite right here. So I'd like to, yeah, I'm gonna say we've definitely got a shot this year if the defense show up in the games, the bigger games. We've kind of let ourselves down with the defense and some of the seasons gone by in some of the bigger games, But I think the offense is that much on fire this season that I think we do have a real shot, I'm just glad we're winning at the moment, so I'll just take that.
You bet. You hopefully get to 9-3. You've obviously seen Aaron Rodgers. He's brilliant. Do you go back enough with him where you can appreciate number 4, Brett Favre, a little bit?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously I wasn't a Packers fan at that point when Brett was playing, but Pierre, the owner of the bar, he's a huge Packers fan. Like, I would say even more so than me. He became a Packers fan back in the 90s, so he was able to watch Brett Favre play in Paris on the TV. And I mean, when you look back at the highlights of Favre, it's pretty insane when you see some of the stuff that he used to do and the type of guy he was. And it has toughness as well. Some of the stories I've heard about him, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not even sure he missed a game for the Packers. I think he played with a broken finger once as well. So, the guy's special. So I'm glad that the Packers and him have made up. It was great seeing Favre and Starr at that game at Lambeau Field. It kind of felt like everything was right in the world when that happened,
Well, John Dodds covered Brett Favre forever and a day, and he can tell you some great stories about number 4. What made him so special in your mind, John? I think Matty had a pretty good little comment or two about it.
It's a unique combination of toughness, talent, and insecurity. You have to be insecure. You have to say, I have to go back or else somebody's going to take my job and I might not never get it back. So he had a broken thumb that one year. He played with it. In terms of tough, I was just telling this to a dental client of mine this past weekend. I said to him, Brett Favre once got his wisdom teeth taken out without any Novocaine. And the guy just said, and the dentist said, only one person in the history of my 30 years has done that, and it wasn't pretty. But Brett Favre had that Vicodin issue with painkillers, so he didn't want to take a chance on using any painkiller, even though it was a shot of Novocaine. So that was one tough hombre who earned every penny as a Packer that he played. But I have a question. Did it take you a while to get used to American football? Because traditionally, international people look at more soccer, European football. It's more continuous play. The American football, you huddle, you don't play all the time, then you play. It's kind of in spurts. Was it tough to get used to?
Well, we were quite lucky in the UK back in when I got into NFL. That was the mid to late 90s. There was a show on one of the channels called NFL Blitz, and what it was kind of like NFL for dummies, really. But they would show highlights of games, but and in between those games, break down play, explain position. So it really helped for somebody like myself who really didn't have a clue about a lot of the rules. And then once I started watching that, I mean, I started enjoying more of an event, watching the game, because it was over an hour period. You could enjoy it. So yeah, it's very different. I get a lot of questions from a lot of friends here. How can you watch that? It's 3 hours long, but for me, it's more exciting in a lot of ways. It's so much more explosive than a lot of sports here, and the guys that play the game are so tough. So yeah, I suppose you've got to be the right kind of person to take to NFL, I suppose, as well, because it's not for everybody, like you say. I'm a huge soccer fan as well, so but I love the so and like I say, I'm happy they're winning.
It's interesting. I'd heard that there are a lot of people that saw the NFL Blitz where they would take an NFL game and they would cut it down to say 30 minutes. So a lot of the time huddling up and breaking and to the line of scrimmage was all edited out. So people would buy tickets for the London game. They'd sit there and say, hey, wait, what's all this? Things aren't happening as quickly as they do on TV. How come? It was a tougher adjustment to see it live.
Best of winning.
Live game, like exactly how long it is, and when you're actually in, you don't have the adverts in between, so you see everything. So yeah, like I say, I enjoy the length of the game. It's and the the stoppages and everything. People don't like it, but I do.
John, you just mentioned the London games. Matty, I'm curious, the last decade, the NFL has really pushed UK and now France. I think they've gone into play a little bit as well. Has the popularity in the UK grown in the last 10 years, have you seen, or is it just maybe?
Without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, UK, my point as my team, like I run a Facebook page called Scotland, and I started it 5 years ago. Really, it was just a drunken idea. Over the last years, I've managed to add around about 500 people to it, which is a lot for me. That just shows me that the NFL's getting bigger in the UK. The one I would like to talk about is France, Paris. The amount of because I ran that bar for 4 years, and it was every Sunday we were busy from 2010, and each week that went by, that turned into months, that turned into years. It got more and more busy. You had more and more French kids turning up, and New Orleans Saints tops, Packers tops, Seahawks tops. So the game in Europe over the last 10 or so years has definitely grown. And I mean, they were talking about having a team in London not that long ago, and that proves that the popularity of the NFL has grown in Europe. So,
Have you ever been to the States? Would you like to come and get to Lambeau Field and see your team play in person, Matty?
I have been to Lambeau Field a number of times already. I've been very lucky. Yeah, I've been to Lambeau Field 3 times, and I've also seen 3 Packers away games as well. I've seen them play in Dallas, in Seattle, and I've seen them play in Boston. I went to a Patriots game in Boston. So yeah, I've been to Lambeau Field 3 times already. I was really lucky. The guy I mentioned earlier, who owned the bar, it's Wasp Bar, Paris. He made a point. He met a guy from Green Bay who came into his bar called Brad, and he invited him over for a game. Pierre went over for a game, got to experience it. Brad and his dad have had season tickets for generations, And then I was lucky. Next year, I was invited by Pierre and Brad to go to my first ever game, and it was against the Vikings, and we beat them, which is amazing, which is always good. But yeah, luckily enough, Lambeau Field 3 times, and so I know how lucky I am. I know there's people in the States that don't get to any Packers games. I've been really lucky, meeting people through the bar, and I have a lot of friends in America as well, so they've helped me get tickets for other games too.
You have that flag, right? Didn't that get like some press? The Packers Scotland flag. There's a special flag that you guys have. Do you have that on you?
I actually don't have it on me. I know it's terrible. If I'd known more in advance about this, I would have made sure I had it. But when the page got bigger, a guy joined the team, another fellow Packers fan, a Scottish guy called Brian Weir, and he had a great idea. He's the admin of the page. I'm like the page creator. He had a great idea of making a Packers flag, and what it is it's a Scottish flag, which is the white cross with the blue background and a big Green Bay G in the middle. And it sounds simple, but it's so great. And he had the idea to take to games. He's been to a few games as well, and he has friends in Lot 1. I think his name, I think it's Scott Schwartz, runs Lot 1, the tailgate in there, and he was able to get the flag photographed with some famous fans and stuff like that. So it's it's just about showing love for the Packers, I think, across the world, because that's what it's all about. People are so surprised that there's somebody from Scotland that loves the Packers, and like when they would meet like Pierre, the owner of that Packers bar, like this guy showed NFL in Paris before anybody else, and can't believe there's a French Packers fan. So it's funny. But the Packers are a different NFL team. They're not just a normal team, as I think we all know. They're owned by the fans. They're from a small town, that you could probably fit nearly all the people in that town in the stadium, which is another special thing, because the NFL would never start a team, an NFL team at that size nowadays, It just wouldn't financially make any sense. So the Packers are a special team, and we've got fans, and I mean this all over the world, every country. I think I've met somebody from that country that's a Packers fan.
Well, it sure is a delight to have you. I don't think we've had someone from Scotland before, have we, guys, in Paris, and can speak about the Packers. You look like a pretty big guy, what I can see here. Do you have an athletic background, Matty?
I played like soccer, football as we call it here, but soccer, and I was a goalkeeper. So I used my I'm 6'5", so 197. I don't know what you measure. I think it's feet and inches you measure. So I used my hand, so I stopped the goals going into the net. So I've always thought if I ever played NFL, what position I would play. You tell me. I don't know. I'm, 6'5", over 200 pounds, and I've got good hands. So I don't know what a tight end probably.
Tight end,
Yeah.
defensive
Oh,
lineman,
yeah.
maybe a
You'd
little
be
pass
Robert
rusher.
Tunyon, wouldn't he, Michael?
Yeah.
You'd be Robert Tunyon.
He'd be Rob Gronkowski.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, I'll take Robert Tunyon, especially because he's in my fantasy football team this week and he scored.
Oh, nice. Yeah, you're really into it. Well, we got John Dodds, our Packers historian, goes about 6'6", and Michael, what are you, 6'3"?
I'm 6'5".
6'5" yourself? Holy
Yeah.
man.
Yeah,
I'm
we
like-
got a tall group here today.
Yeah, well, I used to be 6'1". Now I'm about 5'5". The business of sportscasting beat me up, but these guys beat me up. We have a lot of fun, Matty, on this Packers podcast, and it's really neat to have you here.
Thank you. Like I say, it's something different, and to be able to speak about the Packers, it's something that I love to do, and just share the kind of story about the Packers of Scotland Facebook page and about Waspar and Paris. Sadly, it closed a couple of weeks ago, but the love lives on in Paris, to be honest, with the Packers. So it's always good to get the story out there. And Aaron Rodgers actually visited the bar. Devontae Adams visited the bar. So
Really?
yes.
Wow. I think maybe Andrew told us that, Andrew Grogan. That's great.
Yeah.
Were you
Adams,
there? Did you meet them?
You're going to love this. I was there 4 years and not one player came and visited. First year that I leave, and because I came back to Scotland, I'd been in Paris for like nearly 10 years, and I wanted to come back and be around my family more. And I came back, and I think it was the first year I was back. Devontae Adams was in Paris on holiday, and then the owner, in a sense, bumped into him and invited him to the bar, and he visited. He gave, I think, 45 minutes of his time. There was fans. This is a small bar. The capacity of the bar is only around 90 to 100 people. So we're not talking like a big sports bar here. It's a small, kind of international bar. It's awesome. And Devontae came for 45 minutes and spent time with the fans, and people had some great times. But the Rodgers story is even better. It was through a mutual friend of the owner of Waspar, and
Speaking of
he
Rodgers, here's the bomb, Matty.
Oh,
yeah. Oh. Man, is it MVS?
MVS, but I think it was being defended. I think the guy did a nice job grabbing him, but he tried to make a body catch. We'll see.
See, I'm slightly behind here. I'm slightly behind in Scotland. I think, I've not seen that yet.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Same here, Matty. Same here.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. I think we're like 30 seconds behind, but if they score a touchdown, it's okay. Tell me all days, but if they get scored against, don't tell me, please. Oh, here's a bomb.
I think we should tell him Tunyon scores a touchdown so he thinks his fantasy team scores again. But
that's what we have to pull for, right, Michael? Yeah. But Rodgers had that look on his face, didn't he, JD? Like, come on now. You should have had that one, MVS. I'm sticking up for you. Remember the turnover and overtime, but
yeah, he's not Jordy Nelson yet. He could use half the field and kind of throw it out in front of him, and Jordy Nelson could cross the field and have the defender on his back and then run toward the ball. I think that's what they're trying to do, but I think Rodgers might have let that ball go too late, and it kind of hung up a little bit, maybe in the wind, and a defender caught him.
Yeah, it seemed to hit off his shoulder pad.
look for the ball.
Whoa, what Tunyon? miscommunication there.
Yeah.
And there's the look.
The Rogers look.
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
Don't want to let the guy down.
No.
Maddie, did you go to the Dallas game? Was that you in that picture that one time? I remember.
Again, we traveled to Dallas. We did a road trip actually across from New Orleans. We didn't go there for a game. We went there and hung out, and then we traveled across through the swamps up to through Louisiana and then up to Dallas. And yeah, we went to the AT&T Stadium, and it was the game. I'm sure you all remember this. We were losing by 23 points at halftime, and we came back 137-36. Do you remember that one? It was when Matt Flynn was our quarterback. Rogers wasn't even playing in that game, and we needed to win to make the playoffs.
Oh, the big comeback game.
The last game of the year, right?
Yeah, the big comeback game.
Or second, I can't remember the exact week it was in, but it was an unbelievable game. Cause that stadium, I don't know if you've ever been to that stadium. It's absolutely insane. 100,000 people. And luckily we got field passes again through contacts through the Packers. And when we were walking around the edge of the field before the game, we bumped into Mark Murphy. So we're able to say hello, sort of explain who we were. And funnily enough, we said we're from Waspar in Paris. And he said, "Oh yeah, I've heard of that." So, I don't know if he was just being nice, but it was pretty awesome when people like that, kind of give you a little time, even just a slither of recognition. It's pretty amazing.
You've had some incredible experiences, field passes, the whole ball. And I would think when somebody meets you, you're so pleasant. It's like, yeah, things are going to work out well. And
Here's some field passes, but it's all through the bar, honestly. The amount of people that would Packers bar in Paris, and if you just look after them and just talk to them, they would say, one of the girls came to the bar that worked for the Packers organization, so she was able to help us out, now and again with certain things. And we didn't expect any of this, and we didn't ask for any of that. But when somebody says, "Do you want a field pass for Lambeau Field or field pass stadium?" You're not going to say no, So.
What was that Aaron Rodgers story you were talking about before we yelled out that MVS bomb? Before MVS dropped that ball. Yep.
So the story was, I'll keep it as short as I can, but we through a mutual friend, the owner of the bar, Pierre, this guy came to the bar, and he was actually a friend of Aaron Rodgers, and through that, at the time, Aaron was dating Danica Patrick, and she came by the bar to watch a game one day when she was in Paris on holiday, and again, through that, the owner had some contact with her, and she messaged randomly one day on a Monday. I have two friends in Paris. This was in the off season. I have two friends in Paris. Are you working? And funnily enough, he wasn't that night, but he said, "Okay, I'll go to the bar and say hello to your friend." So he goes into the bar, and Monday was quite a quiet night. Not a lot of people in the bar. Maybe a couple of French guys drinking at the bar, and a German Packer fan. First time in the bar, was sitting at a table with his Packer hat on, Packer strip, having a beer, loving life. A taxi pulls up outside the bar. Two people get out. And Pierre looks over and just goes, "Oh, two people, They come to the front door and they walk in. It's Aaron Rodgers and Danica Patrick on a Monday. So this German Packers fan is sitting at the table, drinking his beer in the Packers bar, going, "Oh my God, this is amazing!" And
I'm glad you brought Maddie back to that story. Even as the Eagles have a long gainer out to midfield. Please continue.
So, yeah, Aaron came into the bar. Pierre lost his mind a little bit because this is the main man in his bar. But again, he was nice enough, and he stayed for a few hours, 3 hours, had some whiskies. Pierre messaged a few of his Packer supporting his good friends that he knew they wouldn't freak out too much, and they came to the bar. he FaceTimed me for 30 seconds, which was amazing because I was able to, talk to Aaron Rodgers like this for 30 seconds, which was amazing. I tried to take a screenshot and I mucked it up.
Ask you, did you get a pic?
No, I tried to. I was that lost at the moment. I tried to and it just missed. But one of my friends that was in the bar at that moment took a photograph of me on the screen on the phone while I was talking to Rodgers. So I've got this sort of three-way kind of, 6 degrees of separation photograph of me, Aaron Rodgers, and FaceTime. So it was a special moment for the bar, special moment for the year. And it was amazing. I just keep laughing about that German Packers fan though.
Yeah.
Because his first night in the bar's amazing. Oh my God, a Packers bar in Paris, unbelievable. And then the man walks in the door. It's like nobody's that story,
Yeah, that's fabulous. 3rd and 14 here. Let's see if the Pack can get off the field. A good play there by Preston Smith, huh, Michael?
Yeah, it was good. That was a good rush on the defense for once.
Oh, he's got some time. Oh,
Nice having a pass.
Yeah. Good coverage, but he's been inaccurate. Matty still with us?
Yes, still here.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah,
What else might you share with us? We're going to welcome in another guest here soon, although it's been a delight to have you with us. You're more than entertaining. Andrew Grogan said, good entertaining man, and your stories have been fabulous. You're good people.
And his birthday. Happy birthday,
Yes,
my
happy
man.
birthday.
Oh, all right. Right, he's with the Giannis Antetokounmpo, right? Birthday? Same day?
So
You got New Jersey there. You got New Jersey?
Yeah, my 40th birthday. So I got a new jersey today. So it's my birthday today. So this is the perfect end to a perfect day. Packers podcast,
Well, truth be known, Matty, you made our day. You're delightful. And Andrew, thank you. You're welcome back here anytime, into the playoffs, whatever all else. If you get an opportunity to some of your valuable time, we'd love to share it again. Thank you so much, Matty.
Problem anytime. Thank you very much.
Very best, my friend. God bless. Andrew, thank you. Be
Go
good.
Pack, go.
Yes, go
Yeah,
Pack,
you
go.
betcha. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
You just never know who we're going to get on this show, right? Love it. Love it. Andrew Grogan, of course, is from our marketing team, Elephant Lee. He does the heavy lifting in Paris, and Shannon Geringer takes good care of us back here. We're blessed to have them on the team. For Milwaukee, also partners with us, Don Matovich over at DJ's Goalpost in Menominee Falls, Sports Bar, Restaurant, and Professional Construction, Inc., Mike and Michelle Grau. With John Dodds, the Packers historian, and Michael Rachel, I'm Tom Pippins. Our producer is Jason Ruck. We do invite your questions if you have any. pippindodds.com/ask, wisconsinsportsstream.com, Facebook, and Twitter.
Quick update around the league before we get back to the Packers game here. The Seahawks are trailing the Giants 8-5.
Really?
8-5 in the second half. The Seahawks have not been able to get anything going offensively. It's been surprising. They had a safety on a block kick that they didn't recover in the end zone. They kind of botched it between 3 of their own players and went through the end zone for a safety. But that's a surprising one because no Daniel Jones for the Giants.
Right.
Hey, Michael.
Yes.
Did you see this come in? Maybe you guys already discussed it. Did you see that they sang happy birthday to Giannis and they gave him pens as a present?
Yeah, we talked about that
Saw
briefly.
that?
Yeah, we talked about it briefly. That was funny how Chris Middleton gave him a pen.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that much attention around a birthday since John Dodd's 40th.
I got 2 pens that day, I think.
Oh.
It's interesting. They started the second half here, and it's a battle of field position, and MVS drops a 50-yarder, a bomb, and then they punt, and they drive them way back after a penalty, and Savage fell down, so Goddard, the tight end, got a 41-yard pass, and now they've dropped a punt down at the 1. So Packers have lost the battle of field position so far.
Yeah. And MVS, I thought that was a catchable ball, Michael. What do you think?
Yeah, I thought it was as well.
You want it? Oh, baby. Oh,
And that's the difference between Devontae Adams and MVS right there. Unbelievable catch.
Are you kidding me?
I thought it was intercepted.
Absolutely phenomenal.
Has no business being caught. Devontae Adams is one of the few that comes up with that one. Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. So
John,
much.
you got to rate that one up there pretty high, don't you?
Well, so much for the field. Oh, it's 3 guys touched it.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be picked for a moment and then drop incomplete. Ooh, what's that? What's that?
Just part of the game.
Hmm.
Well, so much for the field position switch. That was a big play. 41 yards.
Yep.
Good move. All right, Aaron Jones. Old line holding up pretty well. JD Wagner in there.
It really is. 1 guy touched it, 2 guys touched it, 3 guys touched it. That's a heck of a catch.
Oh my goodness. I don't know. I've lost, Michael. I've lost ability to throw out enough superlatives for that man.
Yeah, you lose track of what you've used and what you haven't because you've run out of all of them. It's unbelievable.
Rogers
Pip looks like our next guest has arrived, Matt Francis.
all right. Super.
Hello, gentlemen.
How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing great, Enjoying the Packer game here.
Yeah. Matt's a huge sports fan. I had the pleasure of meeting him when Shannon took us over there to your incredible workplace. Tell us first of all about your workplace, the kind of stuff you do with your partner, the boss, Matt. You're a dog in it, Matt and Matt.
Yeah, we're a holding company that has an interest in the MKE Cowork in downtown West Dallas. It's a share workspace. It allows people to kind of get out of the house and meet other people who are like-minded and entrepreneurial. I also
Did you see that one, Matt?
I did.
Did you have a monitor? Incredible.
He dropped that one right in.
He sure did. He has been so accurate. What are his numbers, John? Forgive me, Matt. We'll get right
That's
back
okay.
to free flowing here.
16 of 19 for 235, 2 touchdowns, 153 rating.
Jeepers. Sitting
That's-
on 399, looking for 400, Matt.
Yeah, it's
So how are things going at the workplace?
going well.
You have a great space there.
It's beautiful. It's going pretty well. We've got some new members that joined. I also am very involved in our automotive side of the business as well.
Right.
Where I've been spending a lot of time. We've been doing a few software changes and just getting ready for hopefully a cold, snowy winter. One never knows.
Yeah, that would help, right?
It would definitely help. Yes.
Yeah, nice run. Well, in addition to being a great guy, and if memory serves, you're a West Dallas native. Is that right?
I currently live in West Dallas, have for the past 16 years. I grew up in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Sorry.
That's okay.
And a big sports fan. So give us a little bit of your history. He's another big guy. What do you stand? How tall are you, Matt?
I'm 6'5", 300.
I'm telling you. And he's built too, ladies and gentlemen. So we got 6'5", 6'6", 6'5". I feel like I'm out of what am I doing? You know, not even 6 feet anymore. I feel like I should just leave. We got to get a taller host in here.
You're a Milwaukee sports giant, so that's good for me.
Bless your heart. You're very kind. I was very impressed to hear about your love of sport, but in particular the Green Bay Packers, Matt.
Yeah. I spent 5 years in Arizona. I went to a Packers Cardinals game in 2003, and it was 106. That doesn't that tell you? It was hot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that
the
was-
Packers. This is quite a long drive. Where'd they get that ball, John? Back around the 1?
I'm the one.
And they have done it quickly. Unbelievable.
I wonder if his left foot went out.
He got in. Number 400 for Aaron Rodgers in his magnificent career. Fastest 2, correct? And naturally, it's Devontae Adams.
Mhm.
Oh, my God.
Lazard just put a crown on him.
Both of them. He put a
Yeah.
crown on both of them.
17 of 20, 244.
Let's see this left foot here. Oh, yeah, he's in.
Oh, he's just so strong, isn't he, Matt?
Oh yeah, he's a big receiver, fast receiver, great hands,
Yeah.
great hands. Works very hard from what I've read.
That
Yeah.
Packer game that you went to in Arizona was the second warmest Packer game ever. The warmest one was in San Diego. It was 104. And that was in 1978. And the one you went to is the one that I want to say it was like 17-17 in that game, and I can't remember how it ended up. I think the Packers wilted toward the end.
Yeah, I could tell you exactly. Well, obviously it was '03. Brett Favre was the quarterback, and we lived and died with number 4, obviously. And it was an interception in the end zone, and Cardinals celebrated like they won
Yeah.
the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they won.
They were not, pretty much. There was a ton of green and gold in Sun Devil Stadium that day, though. A ton.
Yeah,
Oh,
that was
that's so
Packers-
fun.
that year. The Packers couldn't stop the run. They had a decent team, and I think they were 3-3. And then New Orleans cut Grady Jackson, and after that, the Packers, that's exactly what they needed: a run-stuffing big guy to put next to Cledius Hunt, and they were 6-2 the rest of the way.
They were. Isn't that the same year where they did play the Eagles in the playoffs of the infamous 4-21?
Exactly. Brett Favre's father died at the end of that year. Big Irv.
Yep.
And they had the big Oakland game on Monday night, and then they played. What was it? Was it Denver? I think they played Denver that final game when Minnesota lost the game at the end on the final play to Arizona.
Yep.
And that was amazing. Everything was going Packer way until that pass by Favre in overtime at Philly.
Yeah, that was rough. That was rough, but magical year nonetheless.
It was.
Tyler
Magic.
Irvin went down with an ankle injury right now. He's questionable to return.
Who's that, Michael?
Tyler Irvin, which is not good to see since he's been
Oh,
sidelined for multiple
Yeah.
weeks coming into this game.
Ribs. Thanks for that update.
What, he hurt his ribs? Is that what you
No, it was I think it was an ankle. Let me
No,
double check that.
Is there an update on Jay Sternberger?
said? It's a concussion.
Yeah, he's ruled out with concussion at
Yeah.
halftime. He's ruled out. And then Pip, going back to your comment earlier on Aaron Rodgers being the quickest to get to the 400, 193 games for Rodgers. Next closest is Drew Brees at 205. So he's the first or only quarterback in NFL history to get to 400 passing touchdowns before his 200th game.
Wow.
Matt Frentz, this is our special guest, and Matt is a lifelong Packers fan. I mean, you think back to Aaron Rodgers, he could have gone to San Francisco at the top of the draft, and they go after Alex Smith with Mike McCarthy on the staff, right? Before he comes to the Packers, he slides all the way down, and Ted Thompson grabs him. Unbelievable. How you
Who would've
talk about
thought?
right after number 4, now you get Mr. Rogers.
You do, and who would have thought it would have ended up this way? And it was a little bit rough of a beginning for Mr. Rogers, and he substituted, I believe, in Dallas and injured his shoulder, I believe. A little worried about that pick, but obviously it's turned out pretty good.
Yeah.
A little bit, just a little bit.
What do you think of the Jordan Love move? I don't know if we talked about it when I got to see you at your workplace.
I think you have to do that. I mean, Aaron he's got a few years in him, but you do have to do that. You have to start developing a young quarterback. It's kind of the way it's been for, I don't know how many years. I think I was in high school when that started, with young Brett Favre coming over from the Falcons. So you have to, because you just never know. You got to have talent to back up. We haven't had that traditionally in Green Bay. So
We have a new quarterback for Philadelphia.
That Hurts, Jalen Hurts.
We're going to see if they stay. They've done this a couple times this year where Hurts will come in for a play or two. So we'll see if Wentz comes back in or if they're going to go with Hurts.
He gives you the run option. Rookie from Oklahoma, Michael?
Yeah.
Alabama.
Jalen Hurts, Alabama?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he took over for Tua when Tua tore his ACL.
Okay.
I think he graduated from Oklahoma, though. I think
That's
he
what I thought, yeah.
transferred his senior year.
Yeah, it's
Listen,
Oklahoma.
Matt
beat
Francis
Alabama.
here. Thank you, sir.
It's nice
What's
to
your
see that.
favorite Packers memory, Matt? And have you been there? How many times have you seen the Pack in person?
Only a couple times. Once in County Stadium and once in Sun Devil Stadium. And I've never been to. I've had a couple opportunities to go to Lambeau, but it never kind of lined up for me. Probably like it's there's just so many in high school because I was in high school when Brett came over from Atlanta. And the 92 team didn't make the playoffs, but they had a lot of exciting games, including against the Eagles in County Stadium that year. 27-24, I think it was. Chris Jackie, I believe, kicked that field goal into the northern end zone, I believe. That's a huge memory for me, and probably, obviously, when they defeated the Patriots to win a long-awaited Super Bowl. I mean, it was the first one of my life.
31. Boy, Hurts dropped a beautiful pass in there.
Yeah.
Rookie to rookie to fellow rookie from TCU, Jalen Reagor.
Yeah. They were going back and forth, as you say, usually a play or two. I wonder if Carson's going to get back in.
The Eagles have nothing to lose. I mean, they
Yeah,
just
exactly. And he gives them a different dimension, right?
Yeah.
does. Might be tough for the defense if he starts running around.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people have been calling for Jalen Hurts for multiple weeks now. And looks like they're finally going to go to it. I don't know if he'll be the starter next week, but maybe it's just, see what you can do down 17 on the road.
I think Wentz's body has been calling for that too.
Oh, yeah.
Man,
Boston Scott in the open field.
guys. A couple of good blocks there, but boy, there are times, Matt, where this defense looks pretty darn good, and then they're like a shift. Got a penalty? Good. That's why that's such a good hole, right, JD?
Well, Tip, that was successful because Philadelphia cheated.
Yeah, the defense, especially mid-range, and there's that's tough. It's the mid-range defense covering some tight ends, etc. The second level has just been the up and down, and not getting enough pressure from the front four at times has really put the stress on the secondary.
By the way, you look too young to have 26 years experience in sales and operations management. So in the automotive field, that's a credit to you, my friend.
Yeah, right out of high school, pretty much.
Right out of kindergarten.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt Francis. Matt Francis, right? Sorry about the mix-up with your name there.
No, that's okay. If
I got word from above that something else. So sorry about that.
That's okay. There's a couple Matts to go around, and I'm the boring one. He's the more interesting one.
And your last name again, Matt?
Francis.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I think we had it right here from Shannon. Shannon Gehringer never misses anything, right?
No.
I would hope not.
Good people. I think I heard her voice.
Yeah, there she is.
Hey, there
I'm here. I'm here.
Say hello and drive up our ratings. I'm getting nervous here with Doug Peterson's team driving. Got to have a little respite from this thing.
What's the score, Pip?
They're up 20-3 after missing the point, Shannon, but the Eagles are driving. They made a quarterback change. Aaron Rodgers threw his 400th career touchdown pass, as Michael was saying, fastest to 400. He is just having an MVP year. And Devontae Adams, lost words to describe his brilliance.
Yeah. When healthy, one of the best in the league right now.
Mm-hmm.
Watch the fake.
Yeah, true. They tightened it up a little bit.
Looks like the Giants are up 14-5 on Seattle now.
Is it 14?
Yeah. They've won 3 straight, I believe.
Yeah, that's the stunner, though. Seattle being under double digits in the second half. And I don't think anybody in the world saw that coming today.
Michael, they've tailed right off. What is it? John has never been, too high on their defense. They've had their moments, but offensively, Wilson, after that fast start, as you were saying, right in there in the MVP conversation, things have gone downhill a little bit. And he's got great receivers to work with.
Downhill, yeah, a little bit. I mean, they're still 8-3, tied for one game back of the best record if they were to turn it around against the Giants today. But last week they played Philadelphia, which, I mean, we've seen today has had a pretty good defense. DK Metcalf has been really good for Seattle. I wouldn't say that they've fallen off that much. NFC West, they've got it tough though. They've got to play the Rams, the Cardinals, and San Francisco, where the Packers, if we've talked about all season, have had one of the easier schedules in the whole NFL. So, I mean, it's not a team you want to face necessarily in the playoffs, because that'll be the definition of a shootout between Seattle and Green Bay, you would think.
Michael, how does it line up right now, or JD, if you want to take it? You've got 8-3 Seattle. If they win, the Pack win 9-3. Are they second, the Seahawks, to the Saints overall, with the Saints at 10-2?
I believe they're second now to the Packers third, but I'm looking at the box score here. There's a New York Giant running back named Gallman who has 121 yards and 11 carries. So that defense for Seattle, not only can they not pass rush, they can't stop the run. The Packers can't stop the run, but at least they can rush the passer a little bit. So I think that's where the Packers are better than Seattle. So it all comes down to New Orleans, but it doesn't. It's if there's COVID issues and that first team doesn't get a bye, if they don't get a bye, this best record doesn't mean anything. If they get the bye and you can rest, that would be huge for the Packers to be able to rest for an extra week, lick your wounds, and then play. But you can make an argument that the Packers would be better served playing indoors somewhere, so Aaron Rodgers has pristine conditions.
I agree wholeheartedly.
I still think the one team, if I'm the Packers, that I want to avoid is it's still the Rams for me. I just think they have they have the weapons on offense and the weapons on defense to just make it a difficult game for the Packers. Whereas Seattle, you're going to put points up against them, so it's just a matter of getting a couple stops and seeing what Jair can do against DK Metcalf. And with the Rams, they scare me. They really do.
Jared Goff is too inconsistent, but I understand what you're saying.
But he has had games where he's played very well, along with the games where he's been very bad, like last week. And Aaron Donald, I mean, I don't think any of us want to see Aaron Donald going after Aaron Rodgers.
Good run. Jamal Williams, baby. I love that guy. Don't you, Matt Francis?
I do.
Great compliment.
I like when they run the football. I love to see Aaron throw, but I like when they run the football, which traditionally means they're up. They're just trying to chew the clock down here in the third quarter.
He looked like Amon Green in that play.
He did.
He even held the ball in the same hand Amon Green would. Oh, I take that back. Amon Green would always hold it in his left hand.
Left, yeah.
Could be
Lazard, come on now.
He was moving backward on that one.
Lazard's I think he's got 3 catches for 50 yards. I don't think he's had one since the 25-yard gain. There they go, marking up the ball for Rodgers.
Yeah. Very cool. He'll have his finger of scotch tonight, boys, and assuming they hold on here.
He was joking with Pat McAfee this week about how many fingers he uses to measure his whiskey in his cup. He was like, I forgot what he was talking about, but he said he was using 4 fingers that week because something went wrong. Forgot what it was.
Hey, Devontae Adams was a second-round pick from Fresno State, and it took him about half a year. And the first indication that he was really good, he caught a pass against Miami when the Packers had no timeouts and they were going down in the last second drive, and he made a couple of juke moves and then he got out of bounds to stop the clock, and they threw a touchdown pass to their tight end on the last play of the game to win the game. That was the first indication. And then the next year, 2015, he had that ankle injury and he was inconsistent most of the year. But since then, he's just been terrific. A step above Greg Jennings and Jordy Nelson, a number 1 wide receiver. If he had speed, breakaway boundary speed is the only thing he doesn't have. He has everything else, though.
It's such a burst, doesn't he? And he's strong and
it's quickness. It's a quick burst.
quick. The quickness.
And he was great at Fresno State. I remember reading his draft report. They're saying that, and that's where a guy like that goes to the combine and he doesn't run a very fast 40. So then they, as I say in the draft, when we had our draft show, you look at the Hope Diamond enough, you start seeing fingerprints and you start just devaluating it. So you start running through cones and you don't like DK Metcalf. You start looking at straight line speed and you don't like Devontae Adams. So the second round is a nice round for wide receivers.
PippinDodds.com/ask if you have a question for us. Our Packers historian is the incredible John Dodds. Michael Rachel is a star on the rise. I'm Tom Pippins. Our producer is Jason Ruck. And we're delighted to have Matt Francis with us. He's good people, and he's a knowledgeable Packers fan.
Thank you for the kind words.
Welcome back anytime, my friend.
Something that you could put on your tombstone in 50 years, just a knowledgeable Packer fan.
There's worse things to be called in life, for sure.
Exactly.
And I've probably been called him, Matt, just so you know.
Oh, wow. Well before.
Convicted felon and general.
You can't find anybody.
It's funny.
Matt, how do you split your time now? Like between all your business? Yeah.
Well, I'm a car guy. So that's one of the reasons why I got in the parts industry right out of high school. So right now I'm buying some speed parts for an 89 Wagoneer. So I'm kind of tinkering with that and spend time with the family. And typically I like to go to movies, but that's really not been a big choice lately. So I've been watching a lot of car shows, and it's reinvigorated my youth. Getting around the shop guys has probably done that to me as well. So that's what I do. And watching football.
When you watch it,
No, I meant more business-wise. Not that
Oh, that's kind of like business in a way. I guess the big thing is like when I'm at the co-work place, I kind of walk around. Well, you've been there. I walk around and try to schmooze with people a little bit. But in the auto shop, I've been kind of working with the guys. We are looking and talking about expansion on the automotive side. So I've been having some serious conversations with a couple of shop owners who are interested in maybe selling, and any other blue collar business we're kind of interested in. That's the essential business here.
Ooh, he took it out. He's all right.
For blue collar business, does that you mean spreading across any industry?
Yeah, it could be HVAC, it could be pest control, it could be landscaping, could be machine shop, etc. I mean, that's those places don't seem to ever close. They fill needs. You're still going to need somebody who has the skill and trade talent. So that's what we're interested in at M2.
Cool. Is it only blue collar businesses, or are you open to others?
We're open to anything. We're not really tied down to what's in our wheelhouse. I believe if you know the right people, if you can attract the right people and surround yourself with the right people, it doesn't matter what business it truly is. So whether it's a marketing company or a accounting firm, if it looks right for us to do, and it has the right people, or we can acquire the right people, that's certainly something that we'd be interested in.
Awesome.
Let me take you back to football a sec. I'm loving, John was talking about this earlier. Yeah, they don't necessarily need another receiver. Guys are stepping up, right?
They are.
EQ St. Brown and MVS has been up and down, but.
Well, Tavon Austin, 2 weeks ago during the trading deadline, Will Fuller, and that's a great, I mean, as I said, my wife's a big Notre Dame fan, so I saw Will Fuller for many years playing for Notre Dame, and he's had a nice career. But they wanted a second-round pick for him, and he'd be a free agent at the end of the year. That's a pretty expensive rental. And now they're saying that he had flunked a PED test.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's suspended the rest of the year. Holy mackerel, that would have been a disaster.
Disaster, yeah.
Indeed.
And they said there's Kenny Stills, probably would be out there, but Again, John, I don't believe you are too impressed with
Well, he's okay.
the former Badger and Packer.
Yeah. You know, what was too bad is that through this COVID thing, Funchess opted out because Funchess would have been an interesting guy. So now I think you just wait, you keep that second round pick and maybe take a wide receiver in the second round. And as I keep every week I say this draft is going to be a special draft. It'll be once in a generation draft. And you have all these guys, just look at Wisconsin. You know, they're only playing 4 or 5 games. Usually they play 13. Guys who would come out on film would be would maybe sneak into the latter part of the first round. Those guys who would have been third round picks at the end of their junior year or third year, they're still third round picks. So you can get first round value in the third round this year. That's why Minnesota traded a second round pick for that defensive lineman from Jacksonville, and then they got rid of him for a third round pick when they started thinking about it, how good this draft was. So it's going to be it's world class for wide receivers, offensive tackles, and quarterbacks. There's going to be a big panic for quarterbacks. There's one out of Florida. There's obviously Clemson. There's going to be some great quarterbacks taken, maybe 5 or 6 of them taken in the top 10, 15 picks.
Matt
Did you guys see what
do you think is the biggest need for, forgive me, Michael, you can
go for it.
I think linebackers. I'm a big fan of linebackers. Growing up in the late 70s and throughout the 80s, you know, there's a couple teams that were blue in the 80s. That one we won't name, but they had linebackers.
Yeah, you
Still true.
Yeah. Michael, you got an update of some kind?
I was just going to go off of JD's last point on wide receivers. Devontae Smith yesterday, receiver out of Alabama, he had over 200 receiving yards in the first half, which was crazy. If you take away his first week, he hasn't had a game under 140 yards receiving.
Man.
So,
was this kid on the radar at the beginning of the season, Michael?
he was, yes. But yeah, he'll be in the draft pool this year, along with Jamar Chase, who opted out, as we all know, from LSU.
Yeah, and there's just terrific. It's deep. It's great at the top, and when it's deep, when a position is deep, some good guys fall because you want to draft maybe a cornerback or you want to draft another position player. But there's also 7 offensive tackles that are supposed to go in the first 40 picks because it's just a world class. And the last time it was a world class offensive tackle draft, Bakhtiari in 2014 fell down to the 4th round.
As we look at the seeding here, I think the reason that Aaron Rodgers is quick as to 400 is because Shannon Gallagher's got the Rodgers jersey going on, and I think Matt.
Me too. There it is.
Yeah.
You bet. Not to be outdone.
Fine, I'll take credit.
Yeah, you should. Credit where credit is due.
Just
Fun
kidding.
time here. Our viewing. Oh, nice spin, Aaron Jones.
There's
Our
a-
viewing party made possible by our wonderful producer, Jason Ruck, back at Wisconsin Sports Stream, WSS, Facebook and Twitter, pippandodds.com/ask if you have a question or two, if you want to get in on the conversation with us. John Dodds is our Packers historian. Michael Rachel. What a late season pickup he was, right, John?
I'm sorry, who was? Oh, Michael Rachel.
Yeah.
I'm looking at and saying, no, I'm looking at the tape of Aaron Jones. What do you mean, Aaron?
No, not talking
Michael
about.
Rachel, yeah.
Then, that didn't work, MVS. Yike! They smelled it out.
Somebody sniffed that one out.
Yeah. All right. Hopefully they can get in here and salt this one away. So Rodgers 400 and Devontae's over 100 yards with 2 of the 3 TD tosses from Aaron. Tunyon has another one, continuing to look good. Matt, you have to feel good about the team you love.
I do. If they if the defense stays consistent and they continue to run the football when they need to run the football and not get too cute, particularly when you get to the postseason, watch out.
Yep. Look at that play going down.
What do you think, Matt? Do you see them running the table? You see them tripping up to Tennessee, maybe?
Yeah, Tennessee again today. They added some points late, but they're not looking great lately. And of course, I would be afraid of Derrick Henry anytime, especially in the postseason. But in the regular season, it's been a little bit up and down lately. So I think they can run the table. I think Green Bay has an opportunity. Minnesota has won some games as of late, really close against teams that aren't really particularly that great. So, but saying that, I think if the Cardinals lose today, Minnesota's right in the slot where the Cardinals were, I believe, which is interesting. But Green Bay, stay consistent, run the football, win up. I think that's the recipe. It's a broken record, but it's a recipe, I think.
Yeah. One of the few times it didn't work out, Rodgers and Devontae. Ooh, that was
You almost
close.
like just expect them to come down with those now, which is very unfair to Devontae because that shouldn't be caught. But
That's a tough one. Ball's a little bit out of reach, and yet he made it look close, didn't he, Michael?
right,
They get paid too, though.
true.
Yeah. Good coverage. Boy,
Yeah.
took a hard, slay.
Ooh, you don't like to see that though.
All right, Mason, try to tack on 3 here. Matt, tell us about your family. I know you're a very devoted husband and father.
I would like to think so. Yeah, I've been married for 20 years. Me and my wife met when we were 15 on the Milwaukee County bus. I took the city bus to Milwaukee Juneau. She took the city bus to High School of the Arts. So kind of through the transfer, kind of met her, and then a couple of sons. Jordan is a senior at Nathan Hale in West Dallas. Jake's 8 years old in second grade, and we're just it's put a little perspective with the pandemic to be able to spend more time probably than I was before, doing more things at home. The streaming stuff makes it really easy, particularly for my senior who doesn't watch a lot of TV. He does watches a lot of other stuff, and but it's been tough too. It's been tough. As far as anything else goes, I mean, my oldest son was born in Arizona, and the first time we came back to look at houses in 2005, it was winter. He had never felt that cold before. He was not quite 2 years old, and he was not happy. Wasn't happy at all. He couldn't wait to get on the plane and get back to the Phoenix area, but we moved back and been here ever since. And I like the seasonal change. I do miss some stuff about the desert, but I do like the seasonal change, particularly fall. I think it was tough to get into football sometimes when it was 103 out, and it just goes hand in hand. But
yeah, they call it dry heat, but as you know, when you're over 100, it doesn't matter what kind of heat it is.
Still hot. Don't touch anything metal anytime soon, right?
Yeah.
You have gloves on for a different reason.
Absolutely. Well, Mason tucked that field goal in there, JD. So got to be feeling pretty good here about win number 9.
Yeah, 14 plays, 72 yards, but most importantly, it ran 7 minutes, 16 seconds off that clock, and he barely made that inside the left upright.
Yeah, I noticed.
So, yeah, they have to get that. He missed the extra point again, or hit the left upright. So, got to get that straightened away. But yeah, things are looking pretty good.
Yeah,
they are. Hey, I have a question for you, John. Speaking of Notre Dame, Clayton Claypool.
Oh,
yeah, Mapletron. He's who does he remind you of as far as receivers? They've said he's kind of like a Heinz Ward type of receiver, but I think he's so much more than that. What do you think?
Yeah, he's going to be a big time player. There's no question about it. But Claypool, you say Claypool, and that's the one the Packers really liked him. And they said it was a great wide receiver draft, and it was, I think, in the top 9. But the Packers said after 9, they thought that EQ St. Brown and all the other ones were going to be the one guys they had. Lazard were just as good as MVS, were just as good as everyone after that. But they wanted Claypool, and they had this, I think, the 62nd pick maybe. And Pittsburgh, there was a run on wide receivers at the top of round 2, and Pittsburgh took him at 49, and that was unfortunate. If they had a mulligan, I think they would trade Dillon and DeGara, those 2 second and third round picks, to go up into round 2 to get Claypool. That's the one guy, because you can play Claypool at tight end, and I think he's got 12 touchdown catches already this year as a rookie.
He's Ransomman as well. Yeah, so.
Yeah, he can block too. They've used him in running schemes. So we'll get to see what he does tomorrow at 4 p.m., which is a little bit weird for me on a Monday.
Oh,
I'll take it though. Yeah.
Is there a Monday nighter?
There is, and then there's a Tuesday game too.
Unbelievable.
So
like baseball, Brewer baseball, catch one every night.
A little bit.
People are hurting a little bit on the pad. You wonder what if the game, John, might have been a little bit different that he started.
Yeah, don't know. I just don't know how to read the Packer defense. You could say they've only given up 3 points, but is that because they've played the easiest schedule in the NFL and Philadelphia is really hurting? Or is it because they're really having a great scheme? The Packers were dominant again at Indy for 1 half. But the Bears just rolled over and died. I don't even know if you can even use that as a measure, a fair measure, a standard. But I think with COVID, it's going to be with COVID if it continues. Now the vaccines are coming out hopefully within the next, say, 6 weeks. But COVID might determine the NFL, and the Packers have a college-like atmosphere in a college town, a small town. They might have a big COVID advantage.
Well, they've done a very good job. I just can't believe you take a team, Matt, like the Ravens. They've just been decimated by COVID.
Yeah, that's tough. It's they have their 3rd string quarterback will be starting tomorrow because RG3 is out. So I think not COVID related. I think IR. But it's tough. When you're missing that many people and you're playing probably the nastiest defense in the NFL, and that's not something that's advisable. But you still have to play who's in front of you. You still have to play, and that's why you have a second and third team players. And I think the Packers' schedule, although seems easy, it's tough with anybody being consistent. I mean, if you look at Tampa Bay, how they looked really great against teams, and then all of a sudden they play the Saints, and they haven't been the same since they were destroyed. So
Brady doesn't look very good to me lately, Michael. What do you think?
No, I mean, he started off the year not looking that great either. He had a couple pick sixes early, and then they went on a little bit of run, winning a couple in a row, including against the Packers. And then, as Matt just mentioned, they got beat by 30 plus against New Orleans on primetime television. And since then, it's been ugly. So, that is a team, though, a wild card spot you don't really want to see in the playoffs. You hope they face, the Saints or Seattle or somebody other than you.
Yep.
But I mean, they're not the same team that they were when the Packers played them about what was that, over a month ago now?
Yeah. Well, the Eagles are driving the Packers up comfortably at this point with about 8.5 to go. Good coverage, good play, Alexander.
Seattle's still down 12 with just over 6 minutes to go.
I just can't believe that. John, kind of nice that we're talking about the Bears and their amazing slide. The Lions getting a win for head coach Darrell Bevel.
Yeah.
How about
Yeah, I guess he finally finished his run in the Rose Bowl into the touchdown, and he was able to fly to Detroit and coach that game today. Yeah, that's interesting. And now you want the Bears to win because you just don't want them to get that quarterback access with the top 12 pick. And if they lose all their games, and that's why I was listening to the Bears stations after last Sunday night, and that's chicken soup for the soul after a big loss to the Packers. And I'm listening to them, and they're saying, what do you take? And I think Hub Arkush was saying you take an offensive tackle and you improve that offensive line, because the Bear offensive line is very, very poor. I compare the Bears very much to the Eagles in that they have a very good defense, but the offensive lines of the offense is so bad. So, but you don't want the Bears to get that quarterback. And I have no problem with Mitch Trubisky. I was actually hoping he played a little bit better against the Packers so they extend him. But that's not in the cards.
what's the flag about here? First down for the
I think it's
Bulls.
offensive pass interference.
Yeah, we're gonna get Elshon on that.
Coming back. Big.
Alshon Jeffrey was available at the trade deadline, but I think for a third round pick, it's just not worth it. There's
He's
too
not
much-
very fast either, is he?
No, there's too much luggage in players that are available at the trading deadline in the NFL.
Yeah.
Well, that was weak. That was a weak call. It looked much worse the first time on live action.
So Darrell Bevel, the former Badgers quarterback, John referring to that Rose Bowl run for the victory over, I think, UCLA.
Yeah,
And-
Brian Manthe, I think it took him 3 minutes to call that play.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, how excited he was way back when.
Yeah.
What a moment.
Yeah, Bevel is an interesting story. How he's worked up through the ranks, and he was the Packer. Here we go.
That's going to be
Oh.
a touchdown. Beautiful play.
Wow.
That's
Was
something
that
that you
Fulgham?
can get from Wentz. Moved right up.
That was Greg Ward.
That was a nice play.
I have some. My brother and sister-in-law live in Philadelphia, and their kids are Eagles fans, and they have not said anything good about Carson Wentz in probably 2 years. So I think the Carson Wentz era might be over.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so too. To his credit, cheering on Hurts and the team on the sideline, but that might be it, John. You're right.
The problem
like
is
a-
his contract, though, right? I think he's locked in until 2024.
Really?
So they'd either have to eat a lot of cap by cutting him. I believe, JD, you know this better than I do.
Yeah.
I think that's what they would have to do, or find a trade suitor, which
Yeah.
I don't know who would. I don't know. Maybe the Bears would take a chance on trading for him, but they're paying Foles already, so I don't know. We'll see.
That's we talk about. It's a quarterback-driven league, right? And here we are talking about Favre and Rodgers, and if you don't have, as the Bears know, if you don't have a quarterback, I mean, you put number 12 in Chicago, and Bears fans are singing a different tune, aren't they?
Well, Carson Wentz has an $18 million cap number this year. And to Michael's point, if they cut him, they have a $59 million cap hit.
Oh my goodness.
So you can't cut him, especially in a year where the cap might go from 195 to 165 because there's no fans in the stands this year, and the revenue's down $3 billion. That's where Gutekunst thinks there's going to be so many people cut to get under the cap next year that I think that's where the Packers, you might find a veteran wide receiver, or you might find some big old defensive tackle, because it seems like you can get young players to play in the offensive line, at corner, maybe at safety, but it's getting a young player to play defensive tackle or wide receiver. It took Devontae Adams, about 3 years to get it. It took Donald Driver about that long. it takes you a while. So next year might be the next March when there's free agency. The Packers might go Christmas shopping for defensive linemen who are stout against the run, and maybe one wide receiver. And so the draft, if that's the case, they might pivot and draft a cornerback number one, because if they're letting Kevin King go, getting a big time corner would be like a bookend for Jair Alexander might be the number one priority. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. But this is a draft. You want to keep your fourth. They gave up Blake Martinez, and they're getting a 4th round comp pick for it. And that might be a 2nd round quality guy who just didn't get enough exposure in the fewer games.
And the Packers are in pretty good position, aren't they, going forward, John, to continue to be competitive, especially with Rodgers playing at this level. And then you look at teams such as the Eagles with that cap problem that you guys talked about, and the Bears, hard hit there on Taylor. And you say, man, I wouldn't want to be a fan of those organizations.
Right.
Especially the Bears.
Yeah, if you're a fan, a real true fan, you got to love your team enough to hope they lose. And if you're a Bear fan, you want them to run the table the wrong way because you want a top 10 pick, get a quarterback.
Yep.
When the Vikings were 1-5, that was my fear that they would really tank the season. They traded the defensive lineman, but they've kind of turned it around.
Mm-hmm. Well, that score by Hertz and company. We've got a game here, and there's enough time left. The Packers need to make some hay.
It's a good thing he caught that because that'll run down 25 seconds.
Stay in bounds and kill clock.
Yep. Matt, when you watch a game, and it's hard on TV, it's not like you have what they call the all 22, but do you like to look at the lines or where does your eye go?
I like to look at the lines a lot. I played a year plus at defensive line for Milwaukee Juno before I got injured. The handwork, there's holding on every play, but it's just how guys just move in and out and try to get the backfield is it's not easy. Anybody who's ever played defensive line, there's some stuff that goes on. Still, as clean as the game is nowadays compared to as it was, it's that's traditionally where I zero in, and then once number 12 zings it out, it's tough because I was like, he throws balls from angles that you shouldn't be able to throw a football, much like Patrick Mahomes does too. And it's you shouldn't be able to throw that far, that accurate, like 3/4 sidearm, and it's tough. It's tough to stay just on the line, Tom. I'll be honest, but I enjoy watching the hard work at the line.
It's what's up front that counts.
And the other person that can throw with weird angles is yeah, you might want to run a little bit more clock than that.
Yeah.
But,
Rodgers was going down on that one.
What's your a guy that can throw with weird angles is Jordan Love. And if you look at some of the highlight tapes of him, there's a reason why the Packers were sending 5 people every week to scout him. I mean, he was on their list. So that's an interesting guy who hopefully will be under the radar for at least 2 more years where nobody will care how he plays.
Got all the dimensions. This is a big play here.
Yeah, they still have all 3 timeouts, so this game is.
Yeah.
It's getting a little nerve-wracking now,
Yeah. Especially with Jalen Hurts at quarterback, they probably didn't do any prep on him, I would assume.
Yeah, it's surprising that they had
whiffed.
Yeah, it's surprising that they didn't have at least one run in that mix.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like I said, run the football, kill the clock, move the chains.
I'm with you.
Doesn't have to be too fancy when you're up. That's what you got to do.
That's right.
They'll give him first down.
Oh,
That's back-to-back 55-yard punts.
Oh boy. Uh-oh. Oh boy.
no, he's not. Scott has no chance.
You gotta be kidding me.
There's that special teams.
Is Jalen Rieger usually their punt returner? I haven't noticed him today back there. Wow.
Special teams gaff. Pass, pass, pass. I think his dropping the ball may have helped him in the long run. That's a heck of a play.
It does about 95% of the time.
Yeah, they overrun. My gosh. Well, gentlemen, we have a ball game.
Yes, we do. Wow. All of a sudden, the pressure is really on.
He's down.
Who's that?
Green.
Oh, he blew a right shoulder.
I thought Scott was going to be put in the blender again. He kind of was.
Yeah.
As he was. What was that, two
I saw him
against the
with JK,
Jaguars?
Michael. Yeah, with you. He's no Mason Crosby, that's for sure.
Scott probably blew the other quad on that play.
Oh,
It was 23-3, right? Yeah.
mm-hmm.
A few minutes ago. It's
Yeah, in the fourth.
Yeah. Couple of injuries here. Green's been a pretty good player, hasn't he, guys?
He has been. He's been the hybrid.
Yeah.
He missed it.
We missed it.
All right.
Unbelievable.
That's the Lambeau Field extra point. Nothing.
Yeah, that's we'll take any break we can get, right, guys?
indeed.
I wonder
Yeah.
if kickers struggle on plays that are like unexpected to be touchdowns when they're just thrown in unexpectedly, not practicing on the sideline.
Well, you don't appreciate Mason Crosby until
Yeah.
you see this
Yeah.
guy try to make a tackle.
I don't think J.K. Scott is a very willing tackler.
Yeah.
You know?
Didn't seem like it on that play.
Yeah. He's had some less than stellar moments in that regard. But you're right. I mean, they don't pay those guys to make tackles, Michael.
Now, if the other 10 guys did their job, he wouldn't be put in that position, right?
Yeah. And as John said, he's boomed the last couple.
Now, if I were Philadelphia, I would pull Indianapolis and try to kick it short a little bit, because with Irvin out, they have Taylor running, and his ball security didn't look great on the last time he got hit, and you could see a lot of ball, which you never want to see ball. So I wonder
By short, you mean like goal line, right? Like in between the 5 and the goal line?
Yeah, if they kick it short, just to force the Packers, because I mean, there's no more wedge, but even if there could be a wedge with the Packers, they seem pretty finesse on special teams. But I would bet $10 that the first Packer play will be a run.
Yeah. I hope
Probably a
so.
good bet. I hope
Yeah.
so too.
Yeah.
Still over 6 minutes to go, man. Now you're in the territory of you can't really chew clock and be like continue with the ball unless you really put like a long drive together. Whereas when you're up 2 scores, you can get away with one possession of just run.
Yeah. Yeah. What you need here is, as John would say, John, what's that clock? Eat it up. Long drive, hopefully leading to points.
Yeah, it's going to take at least 2 first downs to get the thing to the 2-minute warning, assuming they don't need any timeouts.
I think as a reporter in the locker room, you got to ask the play caller what they were thinking on that drive.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, if they do get in any passing situations, hopefully, obviously it's a short passing game. Stay in bounds.
Hey.
That could have got to the end zone if you let it.
Get a little chippy. Really fun to have Matt Francis with us. And I've got two of the best teammates in the world on the podcast, and John Dodds and Michael Rachel. And there's nobody like our producer, Jason Ruck. Got a great marketing team with Andrew O'Grogan, who set us up with Matty from Scotland, now living in Paris. We get Matt Francis here, courtesy of Shannon Gallagher, both from Elephant League. Andrew and Shannon, we appreciate them. And I would appreciate a nice long drive, right?
Jeez.
Interesting
Don't
pitch.
get me wrong.
What in the world?
Although they won't. Still runs.
Yeah. This defense, despite, they've been pretty stubborn, haven't they? I think they've lived up to their billing. They've been on the field a bunch.
Yeah, they got to be getting tired, but let's at least get a couple.
Mm-hmm. Couple of sacks on number 12.
Man.
Whoa.
My goodness gracious.
This is without Darius Slay too, I think. I don't think he's come back in since he went to the locker room. I'll have to double check that.
Yeah.
For the Eagles, that is. Yeah, because that would have been him on Devontae.
He knows the Packers pretty well, doesn't he?
Darius
If he was
Slay,
in the, yeah. Was he a Lion, right?
Yeah, former Lion for most of his career.
Mm-hmm. Oh boy, come on, guys! This is go time.
Nope.
I don't know what's happening there, but they look horrible these last couple drives.
Almost like the current Dallas Cowboys head coach is calling plays here.
Mm-hmm. One thing about Jim Schwartz, he can play some good chess, right? He and Rodgers have a lot of history together, and I know Aaron has respect for him. Now the Packers defense has to step up, provided they can cover a punt.
Packers ran 1 minute, 26 seconds off on that drive.
And Philly, they can use their whole playbook too. They have 3 timeouts, 5 minutes to work with.
Pretty
They'll
good.
have to go 70 yards.
50-yard punt.
And no return.
What a story this would be if Jalen Hurts leads them back from 23-3 down in the fourth quarter.
Yep. Oh, look at these highlights. Packers Eagles, JD.
1960, Taylor caught on the 10.
Yeah.
Chuck
Clock
Bednarik.
ran out, right?
The clock runs out.
Yeah. Chuck Bednarik there. Boy, he was a hard hitter. Isn't he the guy, JD, who put Frank Gifford out of commission for better part of 2 years?
Probably the hardest hit in football history.
Oh.
Still to this day.
Yeah.
Frank Gifford was out for over a year.
Feels like this Eagles offense has just been energized since Hurts has come in.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more.
Well, he's running that read, so the backside Packer pursuit has to stay home.
Yeah. Gives them the dimension that Carson doesn't.
It's also felt like the ball's come out of his hands quicker than it was with Wentz. Wentz was dancing around back in the backfield, and Hurts is kind of seeing his first read and going with it.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's see if they can make some sort of a stand here.
Well, that was disappointing that they let him get 2 runs for a first down.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they could have just held him to 3rd and short, that would have run even more clock.
But this is the Packer defense, right? Can't stop the run.
I don't know if it's. I think you punt, or do you go for it?
Stacking
What am I talking about? I'm looking at fourth quarter.
No, you're just You're 2 steps ahead of everyone else, JD. It's gonna get there.
I always consider myself that, and I just proved it. You know, you guys have been holding me back, Pip, for whole season.
Hit
Look
him!
out.
Down goes Hurts.
Jeez Louise.
Tick, 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 tick.
Take your time, right? They're taking their
Well,
time.
I thought the ball was loose there for a second.
I did as well.
Is that Z Smith, huh? Look at that play. Twin fives, okay. Looks like Matt Francis in high school before the knee injury.
Yeah, a little bit. That was a long time ago, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
It's the knee, always the knee.
Yeah.
When you're big, it's always the knee. It's mostly
Yeah.
always.
That is a tough game, as you well know, Matt, especially in the trenches. 3rd and 13. Oh,
All right, JD, now it's time to say it.
yeah.
Now it's time to say, let's see, 4th and 13.
You see, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, no kidding. Jason Ruck, producer. Seahawks gonna lose.
Unreal.
Isn't that something?
At home.
Giants are alone right now for first in that division.
Yeah.
Colt McCoy is their starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
On it, apparently.
You punt this, you still have 3 timeouts and a 2-minute warning.
Whoa.
Yay, caramba, what was that?
Yeah.
I'll take that one. Where's
It
he? Okay, come on, keep walking.
No, I think it was right around the 20. Yeah.
Oh.
But I was
Man,
going
you
to
think
say,
if they
guys,
get-
I mean, John Dodds is just 2 steps ahead of everyone. He sees the court, he sees the floor. That's what the great ones do, right, Michael?
Yeah, he knew the 4th down was coming. He just
That's why they call me Nostradamus. Oh yeah, that'll go right up there in podcast history for effort. Not for execution, but for effort.
Let's have a drive here to feel good about, fellas. Come on. Now,
First downs.
Positive yardage, stay in bounds. Positive yardage, stay in bounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there's the hole. Just couldn't get there. Too bad. You have Mercedes Lewis in there for some road grading.
Mm-hmm.
So
He's a big gentleman, isn't he?
he is. He's big in the locker room too, and Rogers likes him. But I talked to guys in the locker room before, like Bill Romanowski, when he was with the Oakland Raiders. He was 37 at the time, and he said Rich Gannon, his quarterback of the Raiders, was 38. Jerry Rice was 38. He said, we have music in common. Our families are the same age. We have kids the same age. These kids coming in are 22 out of college. I have nothing in common with them. So that's what happened to Brett Favre, where later in his career, he's 36, 37, and these Packer rookies would come in and go, ooh, that's Brett Favre. And they treat him like an icon as opposed to a teammate. So that's what Rodgers, probably one of the reasons why Rodgers would want Mercedes Lewis to stay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes. Beautiful.
Get
Go.
up,
Go.
get up now.
He might cut it back. Look at that run. Brilliant. He's go. Go. Yes.
Wow.
Oh, my.
That just got him an extension. Franchise tag at a minimum.
A contract run. 77 yards. Oh, sigh of relief, Michael.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I was surprised he went in, to be honest. I thought he would go down.
That was an incredible run, though.
Yeah,
One.
I thought 2.
2 cuts.
That's 3.
I didn't see him get into the end zone at all.
4.
Right here.
Yeah.
Okay. Especially when he gets close, guys. How does he get in?
Five cuts on that play.
My question is, how did Bakhtiari beat him downfield?
Yeah.
Yeah, the big guys can run.
Oh, that's nice.
Deceptive.
Now we can feel a little bit better, fellas.
Jeez Louise, what a.
But as
But-
Michael said, you still have 236. So
They almost broke the play before. You could see he just couldn't get to the hole. So it was there. They were blitzing. They brought the safety up the wrong gap.
Particularly given the circumstances, I think that could be the greatest run I've seen by a Packer back this season.
Determining.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rogers says that from the day he handed off to him, and he had that big game in Dallas, and he said he's got the best vision of any running back he's ever played with, and that includes Marshawn Lynch at Cal, when he was at the quarterback at Cal.
Saying a lot.
And you can just see it. He just sees the field. He's got that peripheral vision and quickness.
So now you want him back next year? Is that what you're saying? You're going to give him a contract extension, John Dotz?
Well, you sign Bakhtiari, so you can threaten him by franchising him. So you can pay him 1 year for $10 million.
Mm-hmm.
But he wants more than that. You could also give him a deal, or we'll give you a contract. Oh goodness!
What does that camera work?
Camera angles, guys, come on.
Hopefully that's coming back.
I hear you.
That was from the satellite.
I feel like I have cross eyes now.
For all the Star Trek fans out there, for the old TV show, every time I see that thing, I think of Nomad, the episode with the sterilizer. But for those who are,
Is it on back?
for those who aren't, that means nothing.
Wow. You see, Matt, why we call him the Renaissance man?
I do.
You just
do.
never know what you're going to get from Mr. Dotz.
That's for sure.
Russell Wilson. Ooh. And that's how it ends. How about those Giants?
What was the penalty? What was the penalty?
It was offsides on the Packers
Oh,
Yeah.
on the kick, which is hard to believe because you can't even go until the ball's been kicked now.
Wide open. That's some breakdowns in the defensive backfield.
So if they can get this ball into the end zone before like 150 mark and don't use a timeout, I think they could theoretically get the ball back.
yeah.
Would you onside kick if they go into score?
Yeah, they would go onside kick, but even if they didn't recover that, they would theoretically get the ball back with 20 or 30 seconds left if they're able to move the ball down quickly and not use a timeout.
Special teams gets a negative grade here today.
Yeah, been a little rough.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Hey, Lowry made a play.
Hang on. Northwestern, way to go.
You know, they thought when this guy was taken in the second round last year, they thought they were going to use him like Taysom Hill was being used by New Orleans, but
Yep.
it could be a lot more than that.
Oh, that looked like a push off.
Oh.
Wow, what a drop by Fulgham.
Oh. Kevin King got turned around. What happened?
Kevin King said, I guarded you in camp, and I shut you down, and I just shut you down there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that was one heck of a run.
What do you think? Run of the season so far, gentlemen?
Yeah, the one against Detroit was pretty good. That was 75 yards, but this one was better. With the cuts and especially with the time of the game, the timing of it. So if you sign him, they could sign him. I think if they franchise him, he's got a 1 year deal at $10 million or $10.8 million. But he and his agent know that he's suffered a lot of leg injuries over the years. He's built his legs up, but he's a smaller back, and you got to use him. Can't use him over 20 times a game, so you got to be careful with that. But the Packers might be able to say to him, "How about if we give you a 4 year deal that averages $7 million or $8 million, and we'll guarantee 20 of it? If your cap number next year is not 10.8 million, it's more like 5 million." They might do that just to get the security.
What would you do, Matt Francis? You like to see number 33 back in a Packers uniform?
I would. There's concerns, but I would. I mean, you can do a couple things with a back like that. Third down back sometimes, pretty versatile, but you don't want to overpay for a running back in the National Football League. So many teams have. Traditionally, Green Bay doesn't make that mistake, so I would like to see him back.
Michael?
Depends all on the price tag, as JD was mentioning. If you can get him on the franchise tag, then yeah, fine. That's fine. I'll take another year and see what the cap goes back to after COVID hopefully subsides next year.
Interesting contract that he brought up, though. Multi-year, 7-8 million, maybe a 20 million bonus.
Yeah, and I know JD mentioned earlier maybe extend Devontae Adams and structure that in a way where it also clears up more cap for next year and backload his contract so you can sign Jones. But I'm with Matt here. You never want to overpay for a running back. It never works. Never works. At least in recent day. Maybe it did back in the day, but these days, overpaying for running backs is just the kiss of death in the NFL.
Yeah, it's a short shelf life, isn't it?
Yeah.
But Ted Thompson would never negotiate against himself. So what other team would pay him more than, say, $8 million? I don't know how many teams would. Maybe Jacksonville or someone with a lot of cap.
Well, Jacksonville's got James Robinson now, so I don't see that happening.
Exactly. So there, you just start going, and you only need one good running back.
Yeah.
Big
Oh.
third and 10.
Oh,
yes!
Oh,
Savage!
third interception. That was amazing.
Sure is.
Wow.
3 in 2 games, right?
Himself.
Yeah, he slipped as well, didn't he?
That's 3 interceptions. Oh, there he's good. It's 3 interceptions in 2 weeks.
Right.
Amazing.
Oh, there you go. Do you hear Wayne Larrabee?
There is. On our show, we give the hot poker.
Oh, I forgot about that. It's been a while since you brought that one out.
We're looking to be different, Matt, here.
Yeah, just looking to be unique.
They're going to start making T-shirts of JD.
What a
There'll be a
play.
caricature there, and it'll be the hot poker.
It took,
Get a piece of that ball?
yeah, he got a piece of his arm.
His arm, yeah.
He just, it took Nick Collins 3 years.
Beautiful kick.
And then but it's taken him maybe a year and a half. Boy,
Didn't he remind you of Collins making you remember 36 doing what 26 just did?
yeah.
Beautiful catch. Now you can read it out. We can roll the credits.
Big game to hold on to because we mentioned earlier Seahawks lost, so they dropped to 8-4, but also the Rams just won against Arizona, so they go to 8-4 as well. So you got some teams chasing your tail for that 2 seed. Obviously, the 1 seed is what everybody wants,
Right.
but
they're back in that 2 seed. So
Where's that Kansas City game going to be played? Is it at New Orleans?
that's a good question. I want to say it's at Kansas City. Let me double check though.
I agree with you. I don't know for sure, but I thought I had heard that.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident, but let me double check for you.
Well, you do. I would.
It's
like
at New Orleans, so there goes for my confidence.
Okay.
There you go.
That was a fast find.
3:25 on the 20th of December.
Well, without the crowd noise, that's not that big of a deal. That's the crowd noise preventing a guy like A-Rod from controlling the calls at the line and forcing the offensive tackles to look at the center snap because they can't hear the calls. That's worth a lot. And if that's a big home field advantage for Seattle. Seattle just used that over and over again over the years. Kansas City, Minnesota, there's certain teams that just, New Orleans. This COVID thing could be really make Aaron Rodgers so much more valuable on the road.
Well, there's that defense again. They bend, but they don't break, and they come up with a timely play. That
They
seems to be
bend.
the script for Mike Pettin's unit.
They bend and then they really bend, and then they bend some more, and then they don't break.
Yeah. Well, Matt Francis, it's been a delight to have you here, and you're welcome back anytime.
Gentlemen, thank you.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
This has been a true pleasure, and I appreciate your guys' time. It's been a unique watching experience. I was glad to experience it with you guys.
You're the
Thank
best.
you very much.
You're the best Juneau guest we've had. Juneau alumni since Don Matovich.
Yeah. DJ's goalpost in Menominee Falls.
DJ's goalpost.
He's good people. I think we talked about that, didn't we, Matt? Maybe
We did, yeah.
All right, we've got to stay in touch through Shannon Geringer from our marketing team. Thanks to her again for setting it up. Really good to see you.
You got it. Thank you.
Go ahead.
See you, Matt.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye, guys.
Thank you. Best to you and the family. God bless.
Thanks.
Oh, victory formation.
Yeah.
That was a good offensive line job on the whole. This is a tough defense, and they didn't want to go with Runyon because of Fletcher Cox. They were thinking that he would abuse him too much. There we go. So the top seed. So right now, New Orleans would play, would we get a bye, and Green Bay would play Minnesota. Is that what we're looking at here?
No, I think Green Bay plays.
Would Green Bay play Minnesota? Los Angeles would play.
Wait, they only have 7 teams up there, do they not?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, 7 teams is correct. Yeah.
The bye, they get the bye. So
Yeah.
then the first week, I think the Packers would play Minnesota.
Correct, yes.
Whoa. I guess I can live with that, but as long as it's not windy.
Well, at least they're still in the hunt, right? Right there with New Orleans. So a little bit of a scare, but they're going to 9-3.
Kind of like to see the Bears sneak into the 7th spot. Rather play them than Minnesota.
You're not putting any money on that, Michael, though, right?
No, it'd be a way easier game for the Packers, in my opinion.
Yeah.
What happened to the Chargers today? Did their
Yeah.
quarterback get hurt or something? Or
No, Herbert played.
there's
They lost like 40 something to nothing, I believe.
2 interceptions. That's must have killed
Yeah.
him.
I know the Patriots had a couple of punt returns. One was returned for a touchdown. One was returned inside the 20.
Aaron Rodgers, 400 career touchdown passes, faster than anybody, including Drew Brees. So Doug Peterson, former Packer backup to Brett Favre, Super Bowl winning coach. But this time it was nice to see them bounce back and get a little bit of revenge from the loss last year to this team that came in here and beat them, huh?
You know that your quarterback is becoming an icon when people are asking for autographs. Favre spent the last 3 years of his career signing things and exchanging uniforms and getting pictures taken. Some guys were just getting their pictures taken with A-Rod.
Mm-hmm.
So,
do you like Jalen Hurts as a quarterback in this league as a starter?
Yeah, I like him better than Wentz right now for the Eagles
Certainly
as
now,
far as
yeah.
the rest of their season goes. Yeah, I think he's got what it takes to be a successful quarterback. I mean, it's obviously hard to project because so many quarterbacks you think are going to be good and they don't pan out. But very limited have long careers. So,
Yeah. Let's see.
but I think he's got what it takes to be one of those guys.
Yeah. Classy guy, Rodgers. You give him credit, JD. He's always has an encouraging word. I mean, he understands that this may be the passing of the torch, and he understands that Wentz has been through an awful lot.
yeah, you just have to – it could be the best thing that could happen to Wentz, where let his body heal up. Let that knee, which I'm sure isn't still 100%, just let it all heal up. Let the young guy with some mobility, avoid some of the hits that Wentz would take,
Mm-hmm.
and call it a season. And they can't do anything with him because of the cap. You can't take a $59 million salary cap hit. So he's coming back no matter what.
Mm-hmm. Michael, Rachel, how about a final comment from you if you want to put this game in perspective?
Sure. Yeah. A couple of things actually I'm looking at right now. Devontae Adams, 10 catches, 21 yards and 2 touchdowns. Another monster game for wide receiver 1 for the Packers. And then also the rushing offense. I mean, I guess you have to take that last Aaron Jones run into account when looking at these numbers, but 25 carries for 149 yards. That's 6 per carry. But the defense as well, they still gave up a lot of rushing yards to Miles Sanders and Jordan Howard and Boston Scott as well. They went for 25 carries for 117 yards, which, it's got to be better, especially if you're going to play Minnesota in the playoffs, where Dalvin Cook will be running the ball down your throat consistently like he did a couple of weeks ago, which led them to victory against Green Bay. So still a lot of concern for me, but a win's a win in the NFL, right? So
Well, and as you said, this is not a great quarterback they faced, and Hurts gave them the shot in the arm that you referenced before, but yet 16 points, and 7 of them came off the special teams, the punt return touchdown. So we'll give them points for that. I'd take it.
Yep.
John, how about your thoughts here as we get ready to wrap her up?
It was an impressive win. They did what they had to do. Philadelphia has some good players, and they really stick you. They stuck them on special teams. They're hard to run on. They can make you look bad, but they've had a lot of injuries in their secondary and a lot of injuries in their offensive line. So this is just not a year for them. They can maybe finish with a top 7 or 8 pick and get a good offensive lineman is probably what they're going to do, and they'll be back next year. But it's the Packers have a very weak schedule coming up, and they can run the table.
Yeah, watching out for Tennessee with Derrick Henry, although, as you fellows said earlier, they've been very inconsistent. The offense, a couple of drives that they'd like to have back, and questionable play calling as well as execution, but the Aaron Jones run, brilliant run, unbelievable run, best I think we've seen this year by a Packers back, bailed them out. And the memory for me will continue to be Aaron Rodgers to Devontae Adams. What a combination. If there's a better one in the league right now, I mean, you could certainly put Mahomes up there, right, Michael? You know,
Yeah.
With Hill there.
We're about to watch him on Sunday night, so.
Yeah. Well, I better get you out of here because you're getting ready for that, right?
No, plenty of time till that game starts.
That's my takeaway from it. As John said, it's a good win. We'll all go home happy and see what happens next week when they go into the Lions' Den, and the former Packers assistant Darrell Bevell, a head coach, getting a win in his debut. Right? It was the first game for him, I believe, after the firing of Matt Patricia.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So good for him, former Packers assistant and Badgers quarterback. Elephant League Collective, based in Paris, France, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We appreciate their partnership for FORE Milwaukee Golf Simulator Bar, located on Water Street in downtown Milwaukee. Our thanks to them. Our thanks again to DJ's Goalpost of Menominee Falls, Don Matovich, and also Mike and Michelle Grau, Professional Construction, Inc. The real MVP of this one always will be for me, Jason Ruck, because he makes it all happen behind the scenes. Our marvelous producer at WisconsinSportsStream.com, WSS. So for John Dodds, Michael Rachel, Andrew O'Grogan in Paris, along with Shannon Gallagher and that fabulous marketing team, Elephant League, I'm Tom Pipines. Thanks for being with us, everybody. God's blessings. See you next week. Detroit and the Packers.